Amber and Ian.
You are in trouble, so let's talk about that.
My wife went and got chicken tortilla soup like 3 days ago. Looked at the expiration date. It expired yesterday. But it's been in the fridge for like 3-4 days. Now, I'm not a big expiration date guy. I'm the guy that if the milk expired 5 days ago, I'll give the smell test and then a little taste test. And if it's still good, here comes the Cheerios. I'm good.
Loose.
Amber and Ian. Weeknights at 7 Eastern on ESPN Radio.
The Mina Kimes Show featuring Lenny.
It feels right that this game went the way it did because it encapsulates this Seahawks season. The game was about the Seahawks defense because the Seahawks defense, to me, was the story of the 2025 NFL season.
Just a sick Mike Macdonald game at the end of a sick Mike Macdonald season. So cool to see. So validating.
Check out The Mina Kimes Show featuring Lenny on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. ACC Network, your home for ACC women's basketball.
The stars are going to emerge, so that's what you're going to see.
So many teams got talent back, so many new faces.
And I don't think the product's been any better in the ACC than what it is right now.
For three, it's going to be massive, and it's just great for basketball fans. So many good matchups.
It doesn't get much better than this, does it?
It does not.
ACC women's basketball, all season long on ACC Network.
Wichita's new sports leader, ESPN Wichita, 92.3 FM, KKGQ, Newton. This is the Shane Dennis Show on the new ESPN Wichita, 92.3 FM.
Hey, welcome in. Happy Monday. Shane Dennis Show, episode 1154. On the heels of Super Bowl 60. Talk about that, of course, among other things. Here this afternoon, glad you dropped by. We're with you for the next couple of hours. Jack Johnson alongside as well. He'll be contributing here shortly. We will hear from him, but we would like, in the meantime, to hear from you, if it suits you. We've got a couple different ways for you to be a part of not only this show, but the Pulse from 2 to 4 every weekday. So we got 4 hours for you. We got more than that, but 4 hours for you to interact with us. Hotline is one way to do it. Give us a call, 316-669-4996. You got something to ask, add, comment, query, whatever it may be, give us a call. 669-4996, the old 316 area code. If you'd rather text, then you could certainly do that too. We have a dedicated text line. It's different from the hotline. This number that you text is 316-247-0923. So give us a text, whatever's on your mind. Got a question, comment, want an opportunity to win something. If that is the case on that particular day, text line could be that, 247-0923. So shoot us a text. Tell your smart speaker to play KKGQ 92.3. You can listen that way. You can listen on your radio, 92.3 FM. You can stream us on your computer, your laptop, your tablet. You're at your desk at home. If you work from home, you're in your cave. ESPNWichita.com. Click Listen Live. Highly recommend, though, maybe above all those, download our ESPN Wichita app. Take us with you wherever you go. Listen on your phone, no matter what kind of phone you have. And you can access past shows on that app as well, in addition to listening live. So you have basically no excuse to miss something with our app, because you can go back and listen to it whenever you want. New Day with SSJ in the mornings, Clinton and Friends, The Rich Eisen Show, me, The Pulse with Pat from 2 to 4, the program with Seren Petro from 4 to 6. All those shows. Listen to all day long here on ESPN Wichita 92.3. Also, live stream us. Oh, we're live on X, on Facebook, and on our YouTube channel. So head on over there and watch us. And in addition to listening to us, got today's lineup down there on the crawl too. So you get a sneak preview of what I am going to talk about or what's next on the Pulse whenever we're at our Equity Bank Park studio like we are today. So you get an opportunity to not only listen, but watch if you so desire on X, on Facebook, or on our YouTube channel. We're at our Equity Bank Park studio. It is February 9th. It's the 40th day of the year, 325 days left in 2026. Headed for a high of 72 degrees today in Wichita. All right. You can likely guess at least one segment and what that's going to be about, but I will fill you in on all the rest and in the order of which we'll talk about them, but not before Jack gives us our moment of levity. Make us laugh, Jack.
A turtle was crossing the road when he was mugged by two snails. When the police show up, they ask him what happened. The shaken turtle responded, "I don't know. It all happened so fast."
Oh, man. That's one of your best. Earmark that, asterisk that. I like that one. Not surprisingly, today is National Rehydration Day. Every Monday after the big game. Make sure you rehydrate. That's today. It's also National Pizza Day, National Cut the Cord Day, breaking free from expensive cable bills. That's the story behind that. National Football Hangover Day, National Toothache Day. Some of these are related, apparently, some not. National Bagel and Locks Day, and Clean Out Your Computer Day. Observed on the second Monday in February. That's today. 5 days to tell you about tomorrow. Born day, William Henry Harrison, former president of the United States, born 1773. Ernest Tubb, one of the pioneers of country music, born 1914, no longer with us. Joe Pesci is 83, of Goodfellas and My Cousin Vinny fame. And also the first female astronaut to command the International Space Station, Peggy Whitson, born on this day in 1960. There's February 9th for you. Here's what we're going to talk about today. Wichita State basketball, got to lead with them. And it was close. I know the Super Bowl was played yesterday, and I know KU had a game, and they've got a huge game tonight. We'll talk about both of those things. But Wichita State basketball will get the first word here in the first segment. They took care of Tulane down in New Orleans, and they have a huge week at home this week with plenty on the line. There's enough time left to go in the season that you can't define a season in this week, but it'll help. We'll talk about that coming up here in just a second. The aforementioned KU Jayhawks, they survive a trap. They stiff-armed Utah on Saturday, and they have a quick turnaround and a huge, I can't overstate this, how big Monday is going to be tonight. And you can hear it right here on the channel. It's coverage starting at 6 o'clock. KU and U of A tonight on Big Monday. We'll talk about that coming up in the second segment. Twitter, we got a tournament. We got another tournament. Thanks to our very own Jack. He suggested, once upon a time, a Twitter tournament of all-time great Tom Hanks movies. So that is the topic. And we'll also mix in some K-State disaster talk in the 1245 segment. So we'll do a couple different things in the Twitter segment. 1 o'clock hour, Super Bowl. We'll react to that. Winners and losers beyond the actual final score. So we'll talk a little Super Bowl at 1 o'clock. And then our respective players of the week, brought to you by PHP Law. That comes your way in hour number 2. And my player of the week is an MVP of the Super Bowl that got snubbed. There's your hint of who mine is. I'm old Jack Young at the end of the show. And then Chance will join. He's filling in for Pat today. We'll have a little IOJY mini roundtable with myself, Jack, and Chance. Chance Lebo filling in for Pat on the Pulse So we'll have a little crosstalk and get you ready for 202 here on a Monday. So in the meantime, from now until then, you got anything you want to talk about or contribute? Because what you want to talk about, I'm sure, between Chance and myself, we'll talk about. So weigh in as you see fit most conveniently for you. Text line 316-247-0923. So Wichita State over the weekend went down to New Orleans, and for the 7th time all time, including back-to-back years, they play on Super Bowl Sunday. Shocker basketball did. And they improved to 5-2, if you're into such things, on Super Bowl Sunday, as they pulled away in the second half and put a pretty good whooping on Tulane. 75-61 was the final down in New Orleans. First of all, and I hate to make this sound like a shot at Tulane athletics or Tulane basketball in particular, but if anybody watched that game, first of all, Fogelman Arena at Devlin Fieldhouse is barely more than a gym, or at least that's the way it comes off on TV. And the announced attendance yesterday was 1,050. And I get that New Orleans, there are a few other things to do in New Orleans besides watch a Tulane basketball game, but that athletic department can't be feeling good about that. And this isn't a downtrodden Tulane team. They're okay, and they're not as good as they were in the last couple of years under Ron Hunter. They've had quite a few players poached from bigger programs, like a lot of other teams in the American, but good Lord, 1,050 that showed up to that game yesterday, or at least was announced. I mean, I almost texted Mike Kennedy and or Bob Hull after the game in reference to the atmosphere or lack thereof, but I didn't, because I think I knew what the answer was. And then I looked at the attendance and yikes. Well, all that being said, Wichita State took care of business after a all right first half, but a much better second half. Now, that game was not without its warts, certainly for Wichita State. They continue to be a shabby free throw shooting team. They could have scored 85 or more if they put it this way. It could have been a 25-point game if they would have stopped fouling and made a few of their own free throws. But neither happened, and Wichita State still won by 14. So I'm kind of nitpicking, but I don't want to make it sound like they played a perfect game in case you missed it or weren't able to see it. But they did what they needed to do, and they continued to get good play from Dylan Battie. The Temple transfer has more than taken advantage of the minutes that he's gotten now that Valencia is out for the season. And he continues to, try to get the best phraseology for Dylan Battie and what he is and what he isn't. He could stand to be a better free throw shooter too, but beyond that, he was unbelievably efficient yesterday. In 26 minutes, he had 19 points, also had 9 rebounds. And he seems like, and I don't know, I'd have to ask Paul Mills to give me the real skinny on this, because I'm not as trained basketball-wise as he is, or maybe even Taylor Eldridge, but he seems pretty tailor-made for a zone defense. That's what Tulane threw at Wichita State yesterday. But when he got the ball in the interior, now he didn't have any assists, but you could tell he was looking to create, not necessarily exclusively for himself, but more times than not, that's the way it turned out. And you couldn't ask for much better results from a guy that it seemed like was going to take a back seat to Jarrett Valencia had Valencia stayed healthy all year. Now, that's not to say that Battie wouldn't have gotten better and been able to spell Valencia and take a few of his minutes here and there. But with Valencia blowing out his Achilles, Mills didn't have any other choice than to basically encourage Dylan Battie to, all right, take advantage of this now. And he has kind of nudged out a little bit TJ Williams for minutes, although they can, TJ can play different positions. But Dylan Battie, man, he made winning plays pretty much for the entire final 20 minutes, or when he was in there. He was in there for 11 of the 20 minutes in the second half. But they were +7 when he was out there. His plus minus was among the best for Wichita State in that second half. 10 points, 5 rebounds, and a block in 11 minutes in the second half. Now, he wasn't the only one. Karan Boyd had another good game. Pretty much all he does lately from January until now is scoring double figures. He had 18 points and 11 rebounds. And the Shockers did all this with Kenyon Giles only having 7 points. But 75-61 made it look at times fairly easy in the second half, although I don't know how many possessions in a row in the second half. This is probably from about the 12-minute mark on. It seemed like every Tulane possession or every other ended up in free throws. Like Wichita State just couldn't stop fouling, although at the end of the game, surprisingly, they only had 4 more fouls called on them than Tulane did. But be that as it may, Tulane knocked down their free throws. Wichita State didn't. Otherwise, this is a real yawner in a good way. But Wichita State gets 37 combined points from Battie and Boyd to basically make Kenyon Giles' mad game a moot point. I told you about this. I don't mind taking a little bit of a bow. I told you about this on Friday, that Wichita State is great at offensive rebounding and Tulane is uninterested in offensive rebounding. And that turned out to be the case. Plus 14 on the glass overall for Wichita State, plus 8 on the offensive glass, 14-6. And Wichita State survived a sloppy first half. They both actually had a sloppy first half. Both had 9 turnovers, I believe, in that first half. And the Shockers ended up with how many turnovers in the 15, which is 5 more than they usually commit. So it wasn't a good game for Wichita State when it comes to hanging on to the ball, but they also forced 14. And so that was kind of a wash. But despite leaving a bunch out there on the free throw line, 45 rebounds and 17 assists and 9 steals, that'll do. 18 seconds into the second half, Karan Boyd had a 3-pointer to extend the lead to 8, and it was double figures pretty much the rest of the way. Tulane got within 6, I guess, at one point, but lead got up to 18, and then Tulane made a little push, but Shockers got into the double bonus, made just enough free throws, and ended up getting, I want to say, Drake Kendall, 3 out of 4 from the free throw line. Kendall was, so they had the right guy get there down the stretch, and had to settle for 10 for 19 from the free throw line. But 75-51 is the final. Now that sets up a huge, huge week for Wichita State starting on Wednesday, because on that same day, yesterday, Tulsa lost to USF in Tampa. And so now everybody in the league has at least 3 losses. South Florida, Tulsa, and Temple have all lost 3. Wichita State, Memphis, and Charlotte have all lost 4, thanks to Memphis' defeat of Charlotte, who's now lost 2 in a row. Florida Atlantic has now lost 4 in a row. They are 6-5 in the league, along with UAB with 5 losses. So all that long-winded way to say the top spot is pretty much up for grabs. If Wichita State can stay hot, if Memphis and or Charlotte can get hot, and Temple, Tulsa, and South Florida come back down to earth a little bit, which they seemingly all have. But Wichita State is one of the hottest teams in the conference now. And a double bye in the conference tournament suddenly doesn't seem like it's out of the question for a team that started 1-2 in the league. Wichita State, USF, Wednesday at 6:30 on the plus. 8-3 versus 7-4 in the league, and the Shockers already have one in their pocket with South Florida. So that goes down Wednesday night, and then Tulsa comes to town Saturday night. You talk about an opportunity to take care of your own business and shake up this race even more than it already is. Big opportunity for Wichita State with both games at home coming up this week. Wednesday night at 6:30, and I think that Saturday game is at 6. We'll double check for you. Yes, both on ESPN Plus, 6:30 on Wednesday, 6 o'clock on Saturday. And from there, Wichita State goes to East Carolina, back home against Temple, and then a trip to Memphis. But as of right this second, the Shockers would be the 4 seed in the tournament if it were to start today. They're 7-4. They get the tiebreaker over Memphis, who's also 7-4, and over Charlotte, who's also 7-4. Temple all alone in third. South Florida and Tulsa, if the season ended today, would get the double bye into the semifinals. So that just goes to show you that with South Florida and Tulsa up next on the Shocker radar, if they take care of business, then they would really control their own destiny. They do anyway, but if they take care of business at home where they're 11-2, they would really control their own destiny for the rest of the way in order to at least get a day off, if not more, once the conference tournament starts. Again, the top 10 teams make it. 7, 8, 9, 10 have to play on that very first day. And everybody else, depending on where you finished in the standings, will at least get rewarded by a day. And if you get one of the top 2 seeds, you really get a tailor-made path to the finals if you take care of your business down the stretch. As of right now, UTSA, East Carolina, and North Texas would miss out on the tournament. Speaking of East Carolina, that next road game for Wichita State, ECU is 5-8 at home, and they are 2-8 in the league. Just saying. Shockers also have a trip later on this season to San Antonio to take on UTSA, who's 0-11 in the league. But first things first, a huge week of Shocker basketball at the arena. Wednesday night, 6:30, Saturday night, 6 o'clock, both on the plus. Shockers have won 5 of 6 and took care of their business in New Orleans yesterday on Super Sunday. 75-61 your final. 316-247-0923. If you've got thoughts or comments, we welcome them regardless of sport or topic. But what do you think about the Shockers? Are you going out there Wednesday or Saturday? Let us know. 316-247-0923. Shockers now 15-9 and somewhere in the upper 80s now in the Ken Palm, if you're into that. But take care of business on the road. And they send Tulane, by the way, to 4-6 in the league. So now Tulane falls to the 9th spot in the conference standings. Just a game, half game ahead of Rice in the loss column. When we return, some more college basketball talk. KU got by Utah, I think you could say. They survive a trap. Bill Self talked about experienced teams don't play in trap games or don't fall prey to trap games anyway. And there is a huge game on the docket tonight at Allen Fieldhouse. We'll talk about that. You can hear the coverage tonight starting at 6 o'clock, KU and U of A, right here on your home of the Jayhawks in Wichita, ESPN Wichita 92.3. Hawk Talk with Jack and myself coming up next.
You're listening to the Shane Dennis Show on ESPN Wichita 92.3 FM.
Hi, this is Blake Davis with Davis Liquor Outlet. And this is Brian Davis. Michelob Ultra 24-pack, only $26.99. And savings on Apothic Red 750 ml, just $9.99. Davis Liquor Outlet, each store independently owned and operated. Wichita owned, Wichita proud.
What do people with blindness or low vision need to live to the fullest? Just ask them. It's skill development, scientific breakthroughs, knowledge-based jobs, and the same opportunities as everyone else. When you give to Envision, whether it be your time, donations, or your engagement, you make it all possible. That's because at Envision, they don't focus on the disability. They value the ability. They choose not to envision a world without sight, but to envision a world
You're
where
wanting
people
Country
who are
Club by
blind or
Travis
visually
Tritt, right?
impaired
Yeah,
are
all
empowered
Travis
to reach
Tritt.
their full potential. Learn more at envisionus.com.
Research shows listeners prefer a personalized experience. So to help you remember, Liberty Mutual customizes your home insurance. They personalize this ad for Amber, who really misses boy bands from the 90s.
Hey girl, I'm the cute one, here to tell you how Liberty Mutual customizes your home insurance so you only pay for what you need.
I'm the heartthrob. The only thing I love more than you is saving. And I'm the other boy in the band everyone forgot about.
Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Go Hog Wild Pit Barbecue.
The best barbecue deal in town is at Hog Wild. Right now, Hog Wild is serving up a $5.99 meal that's big on flavor and easy on your wallet. Get a one-meat sandwich, your favorite classic side, and a drink, all for just $5.99. Want brisket? Upgrade to our tender slow-smoked beef brisket for only $1.50 more. Pulled pork, juicy chicken, and hot links. Everything is smoked fresh, made daily, and piled high. This is real barbecue at a price that's hard to beat. When you want big flavor and a big deal, head to Hog Wild for the $5.99 meal deal today. Great food, great price, great barbecue. Join us for lunch or dinner or order online at gohogwild.com. Hog Wild Pit Barbecue, 6 locations in Wichita, also in Derby, El Dorado, Hutchinson, and Salina.
Go Hog Wild Pit Barbecue. Hog Wild, get some for you. But don't be late, we close at 8.
Welcome to guided meditation. Close your eyes. You're at the beach. The seagulls are calling. You take out your iPhone 16e you got from Cricket and use Apple Intelligence to clean up that selfie you just took. It's a good one. You send it to your friends instantly with nationwide 5G because Cricket is on the AT&T network. They're totally jealous. Get iPhone 16e for $49.99 when you switch. Smile, you're on Cricket.
Requires new line on the Supreme Unlimited plan. First service charge and tax due at sale. $25 activation fee. Terms and restrictions apply. Cricket 5G is not available everywhere. See store for details.
Took a double take out on the interstate when I saw her making eyes at me. So I followed her down to Clubhouse Drive, past the Poodle and the 18th Green.
The great Travis Tritt celebrating a birthday today. That's Country Club. Shane and Jack with you here on a Monday. We'll talk about the Super Bowl coming up here in just a little bit. But first, we need to get to the huge showdown. It's about to go down tonight at Allen Fieldhouse, 8 o'clock right here on the channel. Coverage starting at 6. And if there's ever been a lead up to a game that deserves 2 hours, that would be Arizona and KU tonight for sure. Right here on ESPN Wichita 92.3 FM. Coverage starting at 6 o'clock. But before that could happen, KU needed to take care of business against one of the bottom feeders in the Big 12. That would be the Utah Utes. And they did. They won the game, which maybe is about the best thing you can say about it, with all apologies to Flory Bidunga, who was a one-player wrecking crew really on both sides of both ends of the court. 71-59 was the final. Which Kansas never really seemed like they were in any danger, but also it took them a while to really put away Utah and take the fight out of them. Now obviously more than ever, you get to say, and I get to say, literally, the other guys get paid to try too. And Utah did. They put up a pretty good fight. Keanu Dawes is a pretty good player. But KU led 38-31 at half. And not till midway through the second half did they get up by double figures. But they also eventually got up by 16 and maybe more at one point. But Trey White had 16 points, Darren Peterson 14, Council 11, but Flory nearly had a triple-double, 17 points, 10 rebounds, 7 blocks, and they will take a 7-game winning streak into the showdown with top-ranked Arizona tonight. Utah goes back home to take on number 8 Houston tomorrow night. And so the stage is set now, Jack, and it pains me for you to hear that you're not going to be able to go to the game tonight because you'd have to be super rich in order to afford a decent ticket. But with that win and with the 7 in a row, not that they're comparable at all, but KU and Wichita State have both bounced back from a 1-2 start in their respective leagues, and both are knocking on the door at the upper echelon of said league. Arizona, of course, undefeated, 23-0, 10-0 in the league. And if Kansas could win tonight, they would pull even in the win column with Houston in the standings and be only a game back of Arizona in the standings with a handful of games left to go. Now, this game will not define their season, but man, if you could get this one, wouldn't it be nice to dream a little bit and extrapolate out a few things, assuming full health, that you'd be working on an 8-game winning streak. You'd have 4 days to get ready for a trip to Ames. It's a little 2-game swing between Iowa State and Oklahoma State. And Oklahoma State, not quite the team that some thought they would be. And then 2-game homestand in late February against Cincinnati and Houston. But first things first, your thoughts on a methodical, if unspectacular, win against Utah. Anything to take away, or we just get that over with and look forward to tonight?
I think more so the latter. I mean, they did something that I really didn't see this team doing, which was completely look ahead of Utah and sleepwalk their way through that game. That was a pretty lackluster performance. I'm sure that Bill Self was pretty fired up and irate about the team's effort in that game because it wasn't good at all. I mean, there's no reason that you should be hanging around with Utah at any point in the second half. Now, in a perfect world, they win by 50 and you get to puff your chest out a little bit. The reality is a win is a win this late in the year. I mean, it's good they did not really have to sweat it out at the end. I mean, they were up 20 when the walk-ons came in, and then Utah went on a little bit of a run their own.
Yeah.
So a 12-point win, was it really a 12-point win, or was it more so garbage time? To me, it was more so garbage time. And you wanted to make sure you could rest guys late in that game and not really have to worry about, oh, we got to really grind it out and we got to have a quick turnaround in 2 days against the best team left on our schedule and the best team to date. This is an undefeated team. They're number 1 in KenPom. They are a dominant force. I will also say this, and it's not to be the hot take guy or anything. It's more so the mentality. I'm not playing underdog with Kansas tonight. You should win this basketball game.
Ooh.
You're a top 10 team. You're an Allen Fieldhouse. Bill Self's 38-0 on Big Monday. You can spare me with the underdog and they've never beaten a number 1. No, this is a game you need to win. And if they lose tomorrow, I'm not coming in with the mentality of, Arizona beats everybody and they are undefeated. No, this is one you got to have.
That's interesting you bring that up. You kind of read me and Chance's mind, because a couple hours ago, Chance Lebo, I'm talking about, who you'll hear from here in an hour and a half. He didn't mention any names, but he did bring up what would be the rhetoric if KU loses tonight to Arizona? Will it be, that's kind of what I expected. out of Kansas he didn't use come back down to earth, but kind of revert back to old Kansas, the West Virginia Kansas. And I stopped him short right then and said, look, first of all, Arizona is a different beast. So you can play a really good game, lose to Arizona, and still, in my view, but apparently not yours, that you're still all right. And there's no shame to losing to Arizona. Now, I did qualify it and say it depends on how Kansas plays and how Arizona makes them play, that you could take a certain bit of disappointment away from not winning against Arizona at home. And I understand it's a coin flip game, like Arizona's favored by 1 or 1.5 or something like that. So that bears out your statement, Jack, that you could make the argument that KU, if we are what we think they are, should win this game. I won't go that far, and I won't go so far as to say that it's a big disappointment and KU isn't what we thought they were in case they lose the game tonight.
No, and the take should not be if they lose, this is the Kansas team that lost to West Virginia. I believe that is a far cry from what they are now. I'm not trying to say that as a KU guy. I mean, they haven't had, and I can directly correlate that to the UCF and the West Virginia game, they haven't had a full roster all year really until the last couple of games. Mm-hmm. So a loss to Arizona does not mean they are, this is who we thought they were. Yeah. They aren't very good anymore. No, I mean, Arizona, if they win that game, the national narrative would not be, well, this Kansas team, they now suck. If they lose at home to Arizona, that's a joke. To me, it's more so about what's the ceiling of this team. You beat Arizona tonight. I mean, you're going to have people saying this is a team that at bare minimum should be in the second weekend of the NCAA tournament.
Oh, yeah.
And they will be that pick of maybe not the sexy pick, but because you can't really say it's a dark horse pick when it's Kansas. I mean, they are a blue blood.
Yeah, but if considering the state of the Big 12, yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I would say that it's more so it's a game that can only boost you. It's not a game where you can lose anything. However, if you want to get that feeling back around Allen Fieldhouse, because the last couple of years you haven't had it. There have been multiple teams and teams far worse than Arizona that came in and beat you. You need to get that title back of it doesn't matter who you are. You're not winning here. You're not going to come in here and beat us on our own floor. And that's what the best teams in this country do. So the best teams in the Big 12 do. They protect their home court. And you just chalk it up as an L. There's probably Arizona fans going into this game tonight saying, this is where it probably comes to an end. KU's won 7 in a row. They've got the best player on the court, and this place will be as charged up as it's ever been. But if Arizona wins this game, who's getting them, right? They do have a gauntlet that's upcoming. And I would say if you're a Kansas fan, this is more so about the Big 12 race than anything. You beat Arizona, you're a game back with, truthfully, one more game on your schedule where you say, that's going to be tough to get. And that's Iowa State in Ames. And they're number 5 in the country. You slaughtered them in Lawrence. So there's a little bit of revenge and payback there. But if you win tonight, you've won 8 in a row. You're a game back of first place. And there's one more game you have to go through where it's if you lose, hey, that's number 5 team on the road and you already split with them. After that, you have OSU in Stillwater. You have Cincinnati at home. You do have Houston, but you have Houston at home. And if you beat Arizona, I'd like to think that you can beat Houston at home as well. Mm-hmm. So that's the exciting part of tonight's game. It really can only boost you. It can only help your resume. It ain't going to hurt it.
No.
To me, the reason I am getting at this, don't play the underdog. It's the same way of when the Patriots would try to do it. And it's like, nobody believes in it. Like, no, there are people that are going to put real big money on you to win tonight because you're still Kansas. You're top 10. You've got Bill Self, who is nearly 40 and freaking 0 on Big
That's
Monday.
Crazy. Read that again, that stat.
They are 38-0 under Bill Self in Big Monday. And Big Monday usually brings ranked opponents in there. It's not like you're, destroying every bottom. No, Big Monday is usually ranked versus ranked team. And they're also 0-5 against AP number 1 teams at Allen Fieldhouse. And that's another stat that you have to bring up here. And it's a fascinating one. I just would like to say that if you're going to be the Kansas fan that believes Kansas is back. Well, if you believe Kansas is firmly back, this is a game they got to win tonight then. This is a game that allows you to not take back the reign of the Big 12, because right now it's Houston. Houston's won back-to-back years, and they would still be that team that's in second place that you got to go and beat. That is the top dog if you beat Arizona tonight, because we still haven't seen Houston versus Arizona. But also in that same conversation, I'm not trying to be the guy here saying if you lose, well, back to negativity land, and this is a Kansas team that's as terrible as they were when they lost to West Virginia. No, I don't see it being that way, because also they'll get another chance to respond on Saturday against Iowa State, although that's kind of why you need tonight, because if you win tonight, you can go in and play with house money against Iowa State. And I still would go in there saying this Kansas team on paper should be better than Iowa State. I also can acknowledge beating a top 5 team on the road when you embarrass them and their families in the first meeting in Lawrence, that sometimes the pendulum swings the other way here. So to win tonight, it allows you to go be carefree on Saturday. And if you lose, I'm not trying to champion any loss out there, but now you got through the gauntlet that everybody talked about that said would bury Kansas, and you lost one game, and it was against the number 5 team on the road.
And if they lose tonight, they might not move one bit in Ken Palmer net. That's the kind of game this is, to your point.
The only negative stain on this game tonight is if they get blown out.
Yeah.
If they lose by 25 to 30 points, I mean, it shows that Arizona is just in a different league right now. However, Vegas is usually spot on with these things. It's a pick'em game tonight.
Yeah.
And that's why I see it going wire to wire. What I would say is intriguing, and if you are that risky betting man or woman and you have the money to bet, I want to say the biggest storyline tonight is that Arizona, A, doesn't shoot threes, and B, it's because they don't shoot them well. They are right there with Kansas, actually. I want to say that Arizona's like 81st in the country in three-point percentage, and KU's 83rd. Like, they do not want to shoot threes because they don't shoot them a very high clip. And what they've done to so many teams is bully them. Just, we're going to go down, we are going to outmuscle you.
Did you see what they did to Oklahoma State the other day?
I was right there at the Peanut watching the game, and I say it was 6-4, and I go, how long until this game is like 20-point deficit? And people I was watching the game with, like, I'd give it 5 minutes, and lo and behold, you looked up and it was 20-4 or whatever it was. And that's an Oklahoma State team that just beat BYU.
Yeah.
Now it wasn't Stillwater, and it's a different thing to go to Tucson. I'll say though, Shane, usually the teams that come in and beat Kansas and Allen Fieldhouse, they go berserk from 3. I mean, now I know UConn earlier this year, they beat Kansas in a low-scoring 57-55 battle. Darren Peterson didn't play.
All right.
So for Arizona in this game, they're going to need to shoot it at a higher clip that they usually can, because the teams that want to come in and just bully Kansas down in the post, that I don't see that method really working. They're going to need to shoot it north of their season percentage of 35% if they're going to win tonight. And I would say the same thing for Kansas. You can't win this game shooting sub 30%. Arizona's too good, and they've got the transition skills to run you out of the building. That, to me, is the storyline in this one. This is a unique number 1 team that doesn't shoot 53s a game like Texas Tech. They're probably going to shoot it around that 30 to 35% range, and they're not just, if it's not falling early on, they're not going to keep shooting them. They're going to try to pound it inside and get Flory Badunga into foul trouble.
And that's why another reason why you kind of brought it up in passing, but another reason why this would feel, I think, quite a bit different, even if Kansas loses, is the fact that Darren Peterson's played 34 minutes against Utah. It seems to be, and pardon the pun, and I'm not trying to jinx anybody either, but seems to be he's getting his legs underneath him. He's getting more and more rounded into basketball shape like he was at the beginning of the season when he was so hit and miss between the cramps or his ankle issue or whatever it was that kept him from being in tip-top basketball shape. And we talked about that a little bit, and I don't want to take any unnecessary bows, but I don't know if that was being talked about enough when it came to Darren Peterson's availability. Yeah, there was plenty of whispers about why is he not playing, and there are tinfoil hats being worn from here to Lawrence as to why he wasn't playing. But the fact of the matter is, when you're not playing basketball, and you're not in basketball shape if you're not playing basketball. And if what we have been led to believe is true, then you can ride the bike all you want, but not really get your cardio up into the equivalent of running up and down the floor 5 consecutive times and being able to handle that. But you rewind to Saturday, all 5 of the starters played 30 minutes, right around that. And Peterson played 34. And true to Bill Self's MO, he has shortened the bench and going with his guys, going with the guys he can now trust. And in Peterson's case, that is now healthy. And that was another thing Chance brought up. And I don't mean to talk about Chance with him not here to defend himself, but he'd tell you the same thing. It was a 2-pronged, concern of his if Kansas lost. One being what we've already talked about, that this is Kansas reverting back to early season Kansas, and Self is wearing all these guys out. Well, he does this pretty much every year. So KU goes, dances with the gal that brung him, or whatever the saying goes. He saddles up his 6 or 7 guys pretty much every year, and that's who he's riding with. Can this game tonight, should it be a Kansas win, move them up on the bracketology line? It very well could. They're 3 right now in bracketology on ESPN.com. And of course, Arizona's a 1, but they're the number 1 overall seed, according to Lenardi and bracketology. Winning that game, knocking them from the ranks of the unbeaten, it may give Kansas a boost up into the 2 line. At the very least, the worst 2. Still February the 9th, I get it. But we're almost to the stretch run in college basketball. And we'll talk about this more tomorrow. I've already decided we need to give this, not necessarily, we'll talk about the game, of course, KU Arizona, and have our reactions, but college basketball at large. It's time to kick it into high gear. This is the equivalent of, the last 400 meters on a relay, or the last 400 meters on an actual individual event. Maybe I should clarify, because a relay, it's a sprint all the way around. But we're getting to the point now where teams are eyeing the finish line. Their fans are circling W's and L's and putting seeds next to their name and conference tournament seedings next to their names. And this is a fun time of the year, to say nothing of the confluence of college softball and baseball getting ready to get cranked up too. But March Madness is just around the corner. And what will the next week or so mean to the Big 12? Quite a bit. Starting tonight at Allen Fieldhouse. Coverage starting at 6 o'clock right here on the channel. Arizona, Michigan, Duke, UConn, all 1 seeds at the moment. But when it comes to the Big 12, plenty of teams peppered in there too. BYU, although they're falling a little bit. Seems like whenever they play somebody that's above average to good, they waver a little bit. BYU a 5 at the moment, KU a 3 at the moment. UCF still a 9 seed, one of those bubble teams, but on the good side. Houston a 2 seed. Iowa State I think they're a 2 seed as well, if not a 3. Oh yeah, they are a 2 seed. 2 seed in St. Louis as of right now in bracketology. Big game tonight. We look forward to bringing it to you right here on ESPN Wichita. We'll be talking about it tomorrow. You can bet that. All right, when we come back, we got another Twitter tournament. This one courtesy of our own Jack Johnson. He gave the followers on Twitter the unenviable task of voting for Tom Hanks movies. We got a Tom Hanks Twitter tournament when it comes to his best movies, and the first 4 are up there. We'll tell you about them when we come back. It's 12:47.
The Shane Dennis Show will be right back on ESPN Wichita, 92.3 FM.
In business, just like in sports, the best defense wins games. That's where Conradi Insurance comes in, delivering elite risk management and employee benefits to companies across the greater Wichita area. As the largest family-owned independent insurance agency in Wichita, we don't just talk the talk, we protect Kansas businesses like they're part of our team. Conradi Insurance, built for business, rooted in community, always playing to win. Visit ConradiInsurance.com to get in the game.
What do people with blindness or low vision need to live to the fullest? Just ask them. It's skill development, scientific breakthroughs, knowledge-based jobs, and the same opportunities as everyone else. When you give to Envision, whether it be your time, donations, or your engagement, you make it all possible. That's because at Envision, they don't focus on the disability. They value the ability. They choose not to envision a world without sight, but to envision a world where people who are blind or visually impaired are empowered to reach their full potential. Learn more at envisionus.com.
You will absolutely love February at Seven Clans First Council Casino and Resort. Simply swipe your Seven Clans reward card for a chance at food, free play, and cash. Earn rewards for Mardi Gras Mania on February 24th with a $10,000 cash giveaway and be our Valentine every Saturday. One person will win $5,000 in cash every Saturday night. It's all at Seven Clans First Council Resort and Casino, home of Oklahoma certified Lucis Slots, Highway 77 in Newkirk.
The boats are back at Century 2 with screaming deals on tons of boats at the Marine Specialty Boat Fishing and Hunting Show February 13th through 15th.
Check out wake surf boats and pontoons, fishing boats, personal watercraft,
and I was told by the people, they're like,
entertainment,
you have to say it this way, it's the only way they want it.
Oh my God. I love
Just
that.
wait for the end.
Get ready for fun in the sun at the Marine Specialty Boat Fishing and Hunting Show February 13th through 15th at Century 2, presented by Beacon Marine.
Go to WichitaBoatShows.com for info. Kids are free.
How terrible.
Celebrating the greatness of Travis Tritt today. I'm going to be somebody from back in the day. 1250. A couple of things to get to in this segment here on a Monday. Thank you for listening, y'all. Hopefully you had a great weekend. We'll talk about the Super Bowl coming up here in 10 minutes or so. But first, we got to get to the Twitter question. It is brought to you by Ribbit Computers. Hop into Ribbit Computers. If you got an issue with your phone, you got a cracked screen, battery not charging, whatever the case may be, for over 20 years, your fix literally has been Ribbit Computers. So head on in there. Most fixes are done same day. Walk-ins always welcome. Don't wait days or spend a fortune. Hop into Ribbit Computers. Get your phone back up and running today. Thank you to our own Jack Johnson for suggesting this be the latest Twitter tournament. He had one a couple of weeks ago that we haven't gotten to yet, and logistically, it'll take a little more gymnastics to get to it if we're going to do a rant Twitter question or tournament. But this one was easily done. Trying to narrow down and rank in order Tom Hanks movies. But it's a worthwhile exercise, just as the one a week or so ago, thanks to Mike, our listener, was. And I'm getting, of those that gotten the mentions on Twitter or X, it's a similar response, which is a good thing for me. And I'll explain here in a second. So round one of the Tom Hanks movie tournament is up and active right now, ready for you to vote on X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it. At ESPN Wichita, head over there and vote for your favorite of these four. It'll be this way all week long, and there will be hard decisions in front of you all week long because we know the greatness of Tom Hanks. So here are the first four. The Da Vinci Code, Big, Apollo 13, Forrest Gump. Now, the reaction I was talking about that were very similar between Tom and John, who are very good followers of us and voters, I know for sure, on Twitter, whenever we have not only tournaments, but just questions. John said, you're asking me to pick a favorite kid. Tom said, I really like all of these. I burned out on Forrest Gump. I will watch Apollo 13 if I see it on. That's the point. These are all good. This is like picking your favorite kid. It's the tough that makes it hard. Get it? So far, Forrest Gump is leading, and I'll leave it at that. But you have all the rest of the day to vote on your favorite repost. 4 more will be up later on this afternoon, early evening. So be watching for those 4. And I will, I guess I could tell you what the 4 in round 2 will be. Today, Da Vinci Code, Big, Apollo 13, Forrest Gump. Round 2 will be Green Mile, Splash, You've Got Mail, and The Money Pit. Those will be the 4 later on this afternoon, early evening. So perk up for that on Twitter, X, whatever you like to call it. Before we get to the Super Bowl, just when you thought things in Manhattan couldn't get much worse, I present to you TCU 84, K-State 82. I'm going to spare you the post-game presser with Jerome Tang. We've kind of given you all that you need to know about how things are going at K-State with that audio we played a week or so ago. Meaning the post-game audio, didn't change a whole lot, although Tang was less vague at some issues internally that K-State program have been dealing with. In this case, it was sickness. Apparently the flu made its way around the K-State locker room, which, as we all know, you hear that at least once a year about your favorite team. So it happens. And there were some questions, some speculation by some of how many actual healthy bodies were they going to have. He actually said it post-game, wondering aloud whether K-State was going to have to play with 5 guys. Talk about adding a walk-on just to have somebody else on the bench. Bottom line is K-State had an 18-point first-half lead, 40-22, and an 88.6% chance to win the game at that particular time, according to ESPN.com's analytics. And they led for all but, I think, just a few seconds. And it just so happened that TCU closed the game on a 7-0 run. And the one lead that they had was at the very end, thanks to a couple of free throws, muting PJ Haggerty's 30 points and 15 points out of nowhere from senior big man, and I do mean big man, Marcus Johnson, who had 5 3-pointers. But K-State reinvents another way to lose. And they snatched defeat from the jaws of victory, basically. When you're up 18 in the first half, those excuses start to ring a little hollow. And after the post game, there were some reporters who had revealed, frankly, not much, but felt like that there's something more going on with this program in addition to just losing games. But even if that's the case, even if there is, like, for example, Obi apparently is away from the team and his issue is non-basketball related. I think we've all figured that out. Moby, I should say. We figured that out, that it's non-basketball related and he's just not close to coming back and playing. It seems like there's something like this every year. And that's what makes these explanations, vague as they may be, regardless of whether they're from a beat reporter or Tang, ring a little hollow, because it's pretty much every year that something like this happens. And I won't go so far as to say this puts the icing on the cake, but this is something when it comes to another way that K-State loses a basketball game. Had absolutely taken the fight to TCU. There are only 5,000 fans in the stands in Fort Worth. You were up 18 and you couldn't find a way to close it out. Also, go along with that, some questionable execution down the stretch when it comes to drawing up X's and O's. There's some confusion or at least some expectation that TCU was going to foul because they had a foul to give. And maybe because of that, they could be more aggressive, try to blow up a dribble handoff, which is exactly what they did at the end of the game. And for, multiple times, I think at the end of the Oklahoma State game, they foul a 3-point shooter, lose the game that way, and then blow an 18-point lead against TCU this past weekend, lose a game that way. 84-82, K-State is a mess. Simply put, they're a mess. They're now 10-13, 1-9 in the Big 12, and they are now off to their worst start ever in conference play. 6 years ago, they were 1-9, and 27 years ago, they were 1-9. Again, apparently the team's got the flu, but wins are wins and losses are losses. And K-State found another way to lose. They return home on Wednesday night. They'll play host to Cincinnati, who's 3-7 in the Big 12. That tip is set at 8:00. Bad news in Manhattan. It seems like it gets worse every game. All right, there's hour number 1 in the books. When we come back, we'll talk about the Super Bowl. What were your takeaways? Let's hear your thoughts on the text line, 316-247-0923. Besides the obvious, who are the winners and losers in the Super Bowl? Plus, coming up in hour number 2, we'll have our Players of the Week as well, brought to you by PHP Law. That comes your way at 125. And I'm old Jack Young at the end of the show as well. Hour 2, Super Bowl talk, next.
Wichita's sports leader. ESPN Wichita 92.3 FM. KKGQ Newton.
Red Monday is brought to you by Bud Light. Easy to drink, easy to enjoy. Bud Light is the official beer sponsor of the Kansas City Chiefs. Please drink responsibly.
I can't believe tax season is here already. Look at all this info I have to enter.
Phil's small accounting firm is growing in numbers.
Why didn't I take that typing class in high school?
A data entry specialist could really help him in a crunch.
I got blisters on my fingers.
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
The future will be amazing, and that's all well and good. But what about today? You can feel the rush of a 400 horsepower Nissan Z, or climb to new heights in the all-terrain Nissan Frontier. Light up the road in the all-electric Nissan Ariya that feels like a sci-fi dream come true. The future will be great, but today is made for thrill. All you have to do is get in a Nissan and drive. 2023 Ariya and Z not yet available for purchase. Expected availability is this spring for 2023 Z and this fall for 2023 Ariya.
And now another no-brainer money-saving tip from Progressive.
Marcus, what happened?
I was changing my oil and I spilled some on the floor.
Oh, well, use these $50 bills to wipe it up.
Perfect. Got any more?
Yeah, take a couple hundred.
Stop. Instead of using money, use an old rag. And here's a better tip from Progressive on how not to waste money. Don't pay too much for car insurance. Drivers who switch and save could save hundreds. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Potential savings will vary.
Hi, I'm Martha Stewart, and I have a question for you. You know that unwelcome guest everyone wishes would just leave already? That's COVID-19. That's why I got an updated booster designed to help protect against recent Omicron variants. Got it? Check eligibility and schedule your updated COVID booster at vaccines.gov. Sponsored by Pfizer and BioNTech.
Today on Hey Culligan's Smart Home, Smarter Water Softener, here's Kevin.
Hey Culligan, can a smart water softener lift those heavy salt bags for me?
Kevin, it can.
Wait, it can?
Yup, the smart high-efficiency water softener from Culligan can alert your dealer when the salt needs to be replaced, and they'll do it for you, so your water stays soft and you stay away from lifting the bags.
I mean, I could lift them if I wanted.
No judgment here, Kevin. We're happy to do it, and we're already on the way. Let us help you out with a free in-home water test with the local Culligan water expert at Culligan.com.
Well, I didn't watch the halftime show, and it wasn't for a reason that you might think. I didn't watch any of them. Apparently, there were multiple halftime shows. I didn't watch any of them because I was behind the wheel going back to my place at halftime of Super Bowl 60 between the Seahawks and the Patriots. So if you want the halftime show reaction from me, sorry to disappoint you. I don't have any. But I do have reaction to the game, and it's, to me, nuanced a little bit more than maybe some would say. The Seahawks winning 29-13 at Levi's Stadium, it had me feeling very similarly to Super Bowl, 38, where they won 43-8, or that weird score game where there was a safety and whatnot. I can recall feeling similarly watching that game. And it wasn't bad as far as watchability is concerned. Some would disagree. But it was, for an old school guy, I guess, it was a exclamation point that reminded you that defense is still important in the NFL. And as good as the Patriots were defensively all year, shame on any of us that short-sold the Seahawks defense. And if you've been around long enough, you can compare and contrast the Legion of Boom to this particular defense, this iteration of the Seahawks. But man, did Mike Vrabel and Drake May, for different reasons, look either unprepared or overwhelmed. Now, there are reports that came out after the fact that Drake May took an injection for his shoulder. And so whether that had much of an effect on not only his effectiveness or lack thereof or the play calling, that's up for some debate. And I'm sure over the next few days, we'll know more as far as the severity of Drake May's pain tolerance / injury to his shoulder. But Seattle forced 3 second half turnovers, and those defensive players were if this is a hockey game, you'd give 3 stars at the end of the hockey game. Number 1 would be Seattle's defense. Sacks, turnovers, tackles for loss, making the Patriots punt virtually the entire first half, and holding New England to only 51 yards. Now, it was only 9-0, but has a 9-0 lead by a team ever looked like it was more? Especially when if you followed the Seahawks in the postseason, you realize that Sam Darnold's not going to give it to you. Like he'll gladly punt as opposed to putting the ball in harm's way and handing you points. Going to make you earn it. And at 9-0 halftime lead, I don't know how many of you out there felt bad for Drake May. Maybe you didn't. Now, he ended up with a good line, but you talk about garbage points and empty calories, or garbage yards anyway. Now, they did get some points, and those turned out to be garbage as it turned out too. But throws for 295 yards and 2 touchdowns. But when it really mattered, those stats were unbelievably misleading. 8 of 18 for 61 yards heading into the fourth quarter, and he committed 3 turnovers against the team. If you commit one, you're probably in trouble, especially if you do it on your side of the field. And New England in the first half had one play of 20 or more yards. The Patriots were 6 of 15 on third down. And again, most of those were when it was already decided. On the other side of the ball, Kenneth Walker had a great game. He ends up getting the Super Bowl MVP, and a rarity where the MVP doesn't have a touchdown. But in a game that you figured ball control and time of possession and all the old boring stuff would be the difference, the Seahawks out-Vrabeled Mike Vrabel. Had 141 rushing yards to only 79 for New England. And if we're to believe that Drake May was less than 100% or not going to be quite as effective as he would in the regular season, plus you factor all that together with facing a defense is probably better than the Legion of Boom, then Josh McDaniels and Mike Vrabel didn't exactly do him many favors when it comes to the play calling. Didn't get the ball out of his hands very quick, didn't establish a running game, didn't seem like they were too interested in trying to run the ball. And while 9-0 felt worse, bottom line is it was only 9 points in the first half. And going into the fourth quarter, it was 12-0. So you get one or two plays that flip things, which they did eventually with Mac Hollins, resulting in a touchdown. But I don't want to, hindsight's perfect. And I don't want to think that 19-7 was insurmountable. But that score kept me hanging around, kept me from honestly turning it off or flipping it somewhere else. But I don't know how you viewed the Super Bowl last night, y'all out there in text land. Let us know, 316-247-0923. It certainly validated Michael McDonald, Seattle's head coach. It did to some degree Sam Darnold, although he didn't have a great game either. But when it was all said and done, he was the rudder of that offense that, by the way, had to negotiate 60 minutes with less than JSN's best. Jackson Smith in Jigba only had 4 catches for 27 yards. Now, that defensive back for New England was Christian Gonzalez. He was really good. And he kind of was the shining spot on an otherwise dark afternoon for New England. And it's kind of too bad that he didn't get more recognition, although I think he got some of his flowers from Tirico and Collinsworth. But say what you want about Sam Darnold. He's now a Super Bowl champion. And getting back to my original point, if you're an old school guy and you like defense and you like guys that get after the quarterback, then Seattle was probably a fun watch for you. Full disclosure, I was at a Super Bowl party like I normally am at pretty much the same place that I go every single year. It was a full house. And so I missed out on a decent amount of the commercials. Chance kind of filled me in earlier today on the commercials that I missed. And again, didn't see the halftime show, but don't misunderstand it. It's not a protest, and I wasn't boycotting anyone or the other. I was in the car at halftime going back to get ready for the show today and watch the second half. And just in case anything exciting happened, kind of sort of did. New England finally got past the Seattle 43 in the fourth quarter and threw that 35-yard touchdown pass to Mac Hollins with 12:27 left in the game. I'd have to go back to my original notebook paper to see how well Chance, Jack, and myself did on our final pick 6. I think we were all in the 500 range or maybe slightly above as far as our picks are concerned. But we'll give you an official tally in the coming days as we wrap up pick 6 officially. And thank you all for all season long giving us your score predictions for different sports and teams in order to try to win some real life kitchen spices and rubs. Thank you for picking sides and totals for the Busch Light sign. And thank you for using the text line all football season long in order to try to win the Kansas City Chiefs Bud Light sign over my right shoulder. So really great response from all of you of those 3 giveaways. So now that the Super Bowl is concluded, we will get a little bit closer to naming winners, and you'll find out. We'll get a hold of you via the text line and let you know if you won. And if you have, and if you're lucky enough to win one of these, well, the 2 signs anyway, if you win the Real Life Kitchen Spices and Rubs, most of you have already come and claimed your prize. So thank you for doing that. But once we crown a champion or a winner, as it were, of these signs, we'll have you come in here in the studio. We'll take a photo, we'll put you on social, and you can take a bow. You smile in front of everybody at Twitter, Facebook, and all of our social platforms, and hold up that new sign that you're going to have for your garage, cave, or whatever, be it Busch Light or Bud Light. So we will be contacting you here in the coming days if you won either one of those 2 things, and we'll contact you here in the next day or so if you got closest to the final score in the Super Bowl. So again, thank you for all y'all's participation in that, and hopefully you guys get lucky and win something from us, because we give away stuff all the time. 316-247-0923 is the text number if you got thoughts on the Super Bowl. Jack, I'll give you the floor here for the next couple of minutes if you think you want them. Super Bowl 60, what did that do for you? And be totally honest.
A whole lot of nothing. I mean, talk about a forgettable end to a forgettable football season from my eyes. That's, of course, because I'm a Chiefs fan, and I was joking with a buddy of mine. I go, I can't go as far to say, man, what an unwatchable product, what an unwatchable mess. I saw some Chiefs fans doing that on Twitter, and I'm like, you do remember that we got our ass kicked last year, and it was over by halftime.
Or the Buccaneers Super Bowl, too.
Or the Buccaneers one.
Yeah.
I would say here's the reality of it. The Seahawks were the best team in the NFL all year long. We didn't give them a lot of credit because this is a quarterback league, and few of us were like, yeah, Sam Darnold can win a Super Bowl. It was always Matt Stafford can, or if Jalen Hurts gets rolling, he can do it again, or, pick another guy. Caleb Williams got some praise going into the postseason because he could change the game. Sam Darnold is perfect for that role they put him in. They had a great running game. They had an elite defense with a great pass rush, and the Patriots, no disrespect to them whatsoever, because they are a spoiled fan base that they went through a 2-year rebuild and then won 14 games and got to the Super Bowl. What I would say is this as well. They do not strike me as they'll be back, right? Because what's going to happen is the Patriots will get the first place schedule next year. They're not going to be able to run through their schedule the way they did last year. And, oh, by the way, now you got a target on your back. Now people aren't going to be looking at you as this sweet, spunky, cute story of, Vrabel comes back to coach the Patriots and Drake May's so easy to root for. What is always crazy to see, Shane, in the Super Bowl is you could be the most beloved quarterback all season long. Joe Burrow was the year they got to the Super Bowl because he'd finally beaten Patrick Mahomes. They had this explosive offense, and man, were they fun to watch with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and Joe Mixon. It was never ending. And then he choked in the Super Bowl, and he underperformed. And that just hangs over you like a dirty, wet towel for the rest of your career until what happens? Oh, you can find a way to get back and actually win it. The reason Patrick Mahomes has been able to dance around the criticism from time to time of underperforming in those blowout losses to the Super Bowl is because he has 3 Super Bowl wins, and a couple of them were comeback victories. So to have that attached to your name, yeah, Patrick Mahomes could end up being, I don't know, let's say like 4-3 in 7 Super Bowls. It's still 4 rings, right? It's still 4 rings in this era. What Drake May is going to have to try to live down for the next part of his career is playing like crap in the Super Bowl. And whether you want to blame Will Campbell, the Patriots offensive line, That was like watching the JV practice squad going up against varsity. And you want to know why I can say that? Because I was a JV practice squad quarterback, and I looked a lot like Drake May, where you just were a deer in headlights. Easy throws. Didn't look that easy.
Wouldn't you agree, though, that the play calling didn't do him any favors? Or am I way off there?
I will say this because I do the same thing with Patrick Mahomes. You can only protect the quarterback in terms of protecting him from criticism for so long. Like he didn't have an offensive line. Oh, it was the play calling. Oh, it was, bad officiate. Like, no, at some point it is the quarterback and it's his fault. And Drake May had the most stat padding line at the end of the night.
For sure.
Aside from one play where he had the touchdown pass to Mac Hollins, and honestly, it was back-to-back plays. That were great throws and catches to Mac Hollins. He was ghastly. He was horrible in that game. And this is a guy that got 23 MVP votes. Like, if you're an MVP candidate, you usually show up in spots like that. And it's a massive credit to the Seattle Seahawks and what they did. It also was 9-0 in the first half. Like, it wasn't like the defense was overwhelming Drake May and it was 24-0 like last year. They had the ball and chances to do something multiple times in the first half, and they couldn't get it done. And now you have to do what the Bengals had to deal with, which was a humiliating Super Bowl loss, and they haven't been back to the playoffs since then, right? We saw the Niners in a couple of their chances against Kansas City. They lost. That stink stays with you until you go back and you actually win it. And a big part of New England's success this year, it is undeniable. It was a softer schedule. And in the postseason, they were the beneficiary of, being the number 2 seed, so you don't have to play in the wild card round, but you get this, or did they play in the wild card round? I don't believe they did. I believe the 1 and the 2 get the bye, and they got to play Houston, and yes, Houston had an elite defense, and I'm not trying to take anything away from Drake May there. C.J. Stroud also had, would you argue, maybe one of the single worst performances we've ever seen.
Pats played the Chargers.
Oh, that's right. That's right. They played the Chargers, and so I give a credit to the defense there. The defense overwhelmed Justin Herbert and C.J. Stroud. And then they got Jared Stidham instead of Bo Nix. And if Bo Nix plays in that game, I'm sure we're talking about the Broncos, and we're probably still talking about the same result, that the Seahawks would have dominated Denver, because that's what they were doing to a lot of good quarterbacks out here. And that's what I would say was so impressive of Seattle. They had to go and beat the Rams, right? They had to beat the Rams for the second time in the season in 3 matchups. They had to go and take care of business against the Niners, who just always know how to play in the postseason, and they nearly hung 50 on them. Like, that was the best team in the NFL. We didn't want to call them that for so long because their quarterback wasn't the star player. He wasn't the household name. He was a guy that was usually very good in the regular season last 2 years and then bombed in the postseason. And good for Sam Darnold doing that. 5th team he's been on, finally wins a Super Bowl. As for the Patriots, no shame in losing the Super Bowl. You were never supposed to be here in the first place. But now you're going to deal with that pressure of what happens now that people look at you as a good team. They didn't do that for a long time because of the schedule, and I'm still impressed they got as far as they did, right? And
especially with that receiving core. Good Lord.
Yeah, absolutely. But then again, you think about how hard it is to get back. I mean, are they going to be able to have another postseason next year where Mahomes and Lamar are out and Josh Allen is a 7 seed? It's unlikely. It's incredibly unlikely that's going to happen. And you're going to have some teams coming back with a vengeance. That's for sure.
2 really good defenses on display last night. So if you're into that, you were at least satisfied. 29-13, the final. Seahawks win it. Super Bowl 60 in the books. When we come back, our players of the week. And unfortunately, we have to say goodbye to a former Royal way, way too soon. Talk about that next.
You're listening to the Shane Dennis Show on ESPN Wichita.
Go Hog Wild, Pit Barbecue. Hog Wild, get some for you.
Hog Wild Pit Barbecue has a great meal you're going to love. It's an open-face hot beef sandwich. Here's Josh Wissing, partner and general manager at Hog Wild's 47th and South Broadway location to tell you more.
Our open-faced hot beef sandwich plate at Hog Wild Pit Barbecue is like no other. We start with our grilled Texas toast, add a scoop of creamy mashed potatoes, load up some of our tender Hog Wild smoked beef brisket, and top it with our tasty brown gravy. It's absolutely delicious. Come give it a try.
Hog Wild's open-face hot beef sandwich plate sounds sounds like quite a meal, so come and get it. 6 locations in Wichita, also in Derby, El Dorado, Hutchinson, and Salina.
Okay. Pardon me.
Your Hog Wild Pit Barbecue. Hog Wild, get some for you. But don't be late, we close at 8.
Today on Hey Culligan Smart Home, Smarter Water Softener. Here's Kevin.
Hey, Culligan, can a smart water softener lift those heavy salt bags for me?
Kevin, it can.
Wait, it can?
Yep, the smart high-efficiency water softener from Culligan can alert your dealer when the salt needs to be replaced, and they'll do it for you, so your water stays soft and you stay away from lifting the bags.
I mean, I could lift them if I wanted.
No judgment here, Kevin. We're happy to do it, and we're already on the way. Let us help you out with a free in-home water test with the local Culligan
This player
water
of the week.
expert at Culligan.com.
Yep.
Nobody protects you from mayhem like Allstate. On that heavy shelf you hung yesterday. Turns out you didn't use enough anchors. Wait, you didn't use any anchors? Now you've got an open floor plan. Trendy. And if you have the wrong home insurance, you could need a wall of money to fix this. So get home insurance with Allstate and be better protected from mayhem, like me.
Based on coverage and limits selected, subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Allstate Vehicle and Property Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
And we are all tied up in the bottom of the ninth. Bases loaded. Electric in here. Electric. It all comes down to this pitch. You throw the fastball here. But it looks like Brock is walking off the field and is leaving the stadium. What is going on here?
I'm getting word that he left to get a taco.
When you need a taco, you need a taco. Introducing the new Cantina Crispy Melt Taco, only from Taco Bell. At participating U.S. locations for a limited time only.
What do people with blindness or low vision need to live to the fullest? Just ask them. It's skill development, scientific breakthroughs, knowledge-based jobs, and the same opportunities as everyone else. When you give to Envision, whether it be your time, donations, or your engagement, you make it all possible. That's because at Envision, they don't focus on the disability. They value the ability. They choose not to envision a world without sight, but to envision a world where people who are blind or visually impaired are empowered to reach their full potential. Learn more at envisionus.com.
I got rice cooking in the microwave. Got a 3-day beard I don't plan to shave. And it's a goofy thing, but I just gotta say, hey, I'm doing all right. Yeah, I think I'll make me some homemade soup. Feeling pretty good, and that's the truth. It's neither drink nor drug induced. No, I'm just doing all right.
Time now for our
And it's a great
Prochaska Howland Prochaska Law Players of the Week. For more than 38 years now, their experienced team has helped fight for your rights, regardless of legal status. Call them now at 316-683-9080. That's 683-9080. Or find them online at phpattorneys.com. I'm old Jack Young coming up here in a little bit too. But first, our players of the week. Mine is kind of sort of tongue-in-cheek, so bear with me. But also, my player of the week broke a Super Bowl record and didn't win the MVP award. It will probably never happen. It's tough enough to wrestle MVP awards away from quarterbacks, which Kenneth Walker actually did last night in his 27 carry performance. He was good. Make no mistake about it. Kenneth Walker III was really good. But Jason Myers, the Seattle kicker, had 5 field goals. Now, none of them were exceptionally long, but you can't blame him for that. You can't do better than 5 for 5. And as big a reason as any for the Seahawks winning, besides their defense, was their special teams. Jason Myers and their kicker, their punter, Michael Dixon, who routinely had New England pinned back deep in their own end. And most notably a 55-yard punt in the fourth quarter that died at the 4-yard line, and it set up an interception in the fourth quarter. But Jason Myers had field goals of 33, 39, 41, 41, and 26 yards, breaking the Super Bowl record of 5 field goals made. And like I said, if it didn't happen last night, it's never going to happen. A non-offensive player being an MVP, short of having 3 interceptions in the game and returning one of them for a touchdown or something like that. Rod Martin, I think, did it for the Raiders once upon a time. Randy White and one of his Cowboy teammates, I think, shared an MVP award when the Cowboys beat the Broncos once upon a time. And maybe even, what was it, Wilbur Marshall or Richard Dent? I think maybe Richard Dent won an MVP for the Bears. And Chuck Howley actually won an MVP for the losing team once, and he was a non-offensive player. But in this era, if you win an MVP and you're not a quarterback, you're making some real news. And like I said, I'm not going to bang the drum too loudly for Jason Myers, but he was the only guy that scored a point in the first 3 quarters. And I get what the defense did to help set that up, and Kenneth Walker also helped set that up, but Walker didn't score, and Myers did 5 times. He did his job perfectly and yet didn't win the MVP. So my tongue-in-cheek player of the week is Jason Myers, who will always have Super Bowl 60 as he made 5 field goals and he's got a ring. All right, Jack, what about your PHP Law player of the week?
Yeah, I'm going to go over to the college basketball ranks here. I thought going into the week it was going to be a great slate in the afternoon. It ended up being quite terrible, actually, until about 5:30 when you got Duke and North Carolina. And what a classic and thrilling game that it was. The Tar Heels having the game-winning 3 from Seth Trimble as time expired, but then they had to get everybody off the court again. And I was, I'm not a court rushing snob. I really don't care. I think it's fun for college kids as long as you don't hurt anybody or hurt yourself. It should be about fun. It's memorable for college kids. And the arrogance of like, you never do that, right? Duke fans saying we would never do that, even though they
KU fans never would. You got to admit that.
Never would. Yeah, they never would. I've also never agreed with okay, if they win tonight, they're not going to storm the court, obviously, because they were also unranked a month ago, beat number 2 Iowa State and didn't storm the court. I understand it just goes without saying. To me, it's about having to say it. Like, if you don't agree with storming the court and you're prideful about that, then you don't need to say anything about it because you're never going to have to worry about storming the court. But like Duke being up in arms about, it's dangerous and our coaching staff got punches thrown at us. We got a guy getting treated and then we don't even hear who it is. It feels like something always like this happens when somebody rushes the court against Duke. I remember Kyle Filipowski had his knee injury and they stormed the court and he was crying. And it's like, okay, it seems to always happen when Duke gets the court rushed against them. And, if I'm a Carolina college student and I was camping all week and it's college game day and it's Duke, Carolina, and they had smacked us last year both times, okay, I'm having a little good time, whether it's neither drink nor drug induced to bring Travis Tritt into this. And I just, living off vibes and I get to witness that in person. Okay, sue me if I rush the court, right? If everybody else is doing it, you bet your ass I'm doing it because that looked fun to be a part of. But my player of the week had to be Seth Trimble. That was just a classic. That is what you can never take away from college basketball is in this new landscape. And oftentimes the people that are the loudest about they hate the new landscape, it's because your team sucks. Like, let's be honest here. If you hate everything about college basketball now, it's likely because your team's not very good and you don't like the idea of players getting paid and this and that. And I'm one of those people that's not all for the new landscape. I mean, the people that say, I don't want to watch, it's not college basketball anymore, it's terrible. Well, you're still missing greatness like this because what the NIL era can never take away from us, it's the true rivalries of college basketball. It's Duke, Carolina. It's still getting excited for it, having good play, having talented players on the roster, and a little bit of drama that's sprinkled in there. That is what will never die in college sports because you still have the fan bases that are so intense with it. Players take things personally, and you will see some transfers kind of lean into that rivalry. They understand when they come in, whether it's a Duke kid or it's a North Carolina kid, you don't like the other
They're
side.
not as oblivious as some people will lead you to believe about those things. Yeah.
It's like they only expect guys to lean into the rivalry that were here for 3 or 4 years. Like, no, that's one of the first things they're taught about when they go commit there. It's you hate that team. You want to beat that team. And you'll have the words tossed back and forth of, oh, we're your Super Bowl. That, to me, also is the dumbest insult any fan base could ever give is, oh, we're your Super Bowl. Okay, and we beat you. So we cared about you're faulting us for caring a little bit too much about this game. Well, hey, I'm just happy that we won because that's the end of the argument right there. We beat you guys. We did beat you. So whether we cared about it more or not, that's on you. I'd be pretty upset if I found out my team didn't care about the game because, everybody cares about us and they're just another team on the schedule to us. No, they're not. That is the biggest lie that we always hear out there. And it's why whether, here locally with KU, K-State, KU, Missouri, you can acknowledge that KU has a bigger rivalry with Missouri because it goes back to the Civil War and there's actual red blood hatred toward that other side. And you don't mingle with the other side. It doesn't mean that KU, K-State's not a rivalry. It absolutely is. And you can have a different conversation about, the records against one another and, it's not really a rivalry if you get beaten up. To the fans, it is. And that's what was beautiful on Saturday night is though the college basketball slate really sucked in the afternoon, I knew this one was going to be a thriller. I knew it was going to be awesome. And you're going to have guys making plays at a very high caliber level. They were going to be making plays in the biggest moments. And that's what you usually get. Usually, I should say, with Duke and Carolina when both these teams are good. And both these teams are very good. Duke, I'm not sure you knock them too much. It's still going into Chapel Hill against the top 15 team on College game day. But to me, I got to give it to Seth Trimble. I also got to give it to the Dean Dome environment. Man, that was a special thing to watch. And that is still what's great about college athletics is that whether these kids were born in 2000 and 2006 or 2007, they understand it. Whether they're students or they're student athletes, they understand how big Duke and Carolina is and why you hate the other side and why games like this are remembered for a long, long time. And that has never changed, whether players are getting paid or not. The big moments, the great calls, and the big shots that are made, that's Duke, Carolina, man. And that I would really go as far to say, even being a KU fan, there's not really a rivalry like it left. KU and Mizzou had it, but there were a few times that KU and Mizzou were as good as Duke and Carolina at the same time. Like those are two blue blood programs. Kansas, Kansas State, Kansas, Mizzou, it's a different level of rivalry. Like Duke, Carolina in basketball is what Auburn, Alabama is in football, or maybe a better comparison is Michigan and Ohio State because they're usually always good. And that's what keeps college athletics going. It's not the transfer portal and the players getting paid. It's still knowing your roots as a program. And these two teams from the beginning of time when they were becoming universities, you hated that school down the road. And there still is that hatred. And I love the fact that drama came out of it because that was just awesome to see. And you know me being a huge Duke hater, I ate up every second of that.
Yeah, I'll bet. The atmosphere, speaking of, going to be just like that, maybe even more tonight at Allen Fieldhouse. Remember, coverage of KU in Arizona starting at 6 o'clock right here on the channel. Before we get to I'm Old Jack Young, very, very sad news over the weekend, especially you Royals fans. Word came out Saturday morning of the passing of Terrence Gore, who was only 34 years old. The pinch runner extraordinaire apparently passed away after what was supposed to be a routine surgical procedure. Leaves behind a wife and 2 kids. Chance and I were talking about this earlier. It really seemed like Terrence Gore did 10 times as much as he actually did. And maybe that speaks as much to the impact that he had on games with just one single tool, and that's pure speed. We all remembered seemingly he stole more bases than he actually did. He scored more runs than he actually did, but he definitely impacted games for the Royals back when they were good and even when they weren't actually. And they brought him back in a second iteration after his first go around in the mid 2000 teens. But very, very sad news for Royals fans and baseball fans. Terrence Gore, who was maybe more famous for his speed in the 2000s than anybody else, passed away at the age of 34. When we come back, I'm Old Jack Young. Next.
The Shane Dennis Show will be right back on ESPN Wichita, 92.3 FM.
Let's get crackin'. Rockin' Brews Casino is turning up the heat with all-you-can-eat crab legs every Friday. From 3 p.m. to 9 p.m., feast on never-ending delicious crab legs, plus your choice of Caesar or Rockin' House salad, seasoned corn, potatoes, and top it all off with ice cream dessert, all for just $69.95. But hurry, last call for new crab orders is 8:15 p.m. That's every Friday at Rockin' Brews Casino, I-35, exit 231 in Bremen. Rock your Friday nights and get your claws on this feast. Rockin' Brews Casino. Eat, win, rock on. Owned by the Con Nation.
This Valentine's Day, celebrate with a classic pairing done the Booth Creek way. The Sweetheart Surf and Turf boxes bring together rich, expertly raised Wagyu beef and cold water lobster tails for a dinner that feels special from the very first bite. Choose the Bold Box, 2 ribeye steaks with incredible marbling and bold flavor, or the Elegant Box, featuring 2 tender fillets with a buttery, refined bite. Both come perfectly paired with lobster tails. Either way, you're giving them an unforgettable night at home with the quality of Booth Creek Wagyu. Order your Sweetheart box today at boothcreekwagyu.com.
The boats are back at Century 2 with screaming deals on tons of boats at the Marine Specialty Boat Fishing and Hunting Show, February 13th through 15th.
Check out wake surf boats and pontoons, fishing boats, personal watercraft, and cruisers.
Enjoy non-stop entertainment, live stingrays, pro angler demos from a 40-foot stock fish tank.
Get ready for fun in the sun at the Marine Specialty Boat Fishing and Hunting Show, February 13th through 15th at Century 2, presented by Beacon Marine.
Go to WichitaBoatShows.com for info. Kids are free.
What do people with blindness or low vision need to live to the fullest? Just ask them. It's skill development, scientific breakthroughs, knowledge-based jobs, and the same opportunities as everyone else. When you give to Envision, whether it be your time, donations, or your engagement, you make it all possible. That's because at Envision, they don't focus on the disability. They value the ability. They choose not to envision a world without sight, but to envision a world where people who are blind or visually impaired are empowered to reach their full potential. Learn more at envisionus.com.
Staples presents That Was Easy.
So I opened a restaurant and needed everything. Menus, signage, catering brochures.
Everything and then some.
I went to Staples. They printed it all and even suggested takeout menus.
One money pit with a side of fries.
But now at Staples, you get up to $125 off custom print orders.
$125 off. Now you're cooking. Brand your business in a big way at Staples.
That was easy.
Shop Staples in store online or in the app by 442 Unlock. Exclusions apply. Visit staples.com/print for details.
Are you tired of replacing your roof every 5 years? AR Roofing has permanent solutions for you. AR offers both stone-coated steel and indestructible rubberized roofing options, reducing your insurance premiums and promising this is the last roof you'll ever need installed. Contact them for a no-pressure consultation and learn how AR Roofing can help you protect your home from hail, wind, and storm damage today. Affordable financing options available. Contact them at 316-242-0214 or on their website at arroofing.com.
I'm gonna wear my flip-flops and
Florida Georgia line. Yeah, that's one of their worst.
Wow.
I'm old Jack's young. There's a chance.
Right off the rip.
Yeah.
Jack even shut it down right immediately after that.
That's kind of
Done.
He
with
knows
this.
the rules.
those are the rules. Yeah. Yeah.
I guess he really
When you
just
get it
doesn't like
right, it automatically goes off. It was funny. I could hear you have your mic on. I went, this might be the first time in maybe a year and a half, 2 years, he's going to jump in immediately.
I let that go about 3 seconds longer than I probably should have.
Yeah. And you did it for good reason because you know I'm not a fan of them, so I'm all right.
Okay. All right. Kind of put a stain on Travis Tritt's birthday at I'm old Jack's young right there. All right. Coming up, in case you joined us a little late, Chance is sitting in for Pat today, so the pulse will be his coming up in 21 minutes from right now. I went to IOJY a little early on purpose because it is a pretty epic day today. And part of the reason why I jumped in and didn't give Florida Georgia Line any more grief, because we don't have any time to waste on Florida Georgia Line. We need to celebrate some birthdays and anniversaries. Starting with, it's February 9th, by the way, born day, Saquon Barkley.
Former New York Giant, Penn State Nittany Lion, current Eagle.
He is 29. Akinora Iwamura, 47.
Baseball.
Very good. Yes. Tampa Bay Ray, etc. He's from Uwajima, Japan. I don't know where that is. So Vladimir Guerrero is 50.
Angel.
I'll accept it.
Wasn't I kind of consider myself to be a history buff, but wasn't Iwo Jima where they raised the American flag in World War II?
Different pronunciation.
Oh, okay.
It's Uwa with a UWA.
Oh,
so I
okay.
tried to make that perfectly
Iwo
clear.
Jima, I think, is where it was.
Yes, correct. I'm not even exactly sure geographically where that is. Southern, maybe? I don't know. Brad Maynard, 52.
That's football.
Punter. Yep. Also, getting back to Vladimir Guerrero. Care to guess how many Silver Slugger awards he won?
Man, he played a long time. I'll say 8.
Exactly right.
Nice.
What do you exactly have to do to win a Silver Slugger?
Be the best hitting player at your position.
And how do we gauge
I
that?
mean, you can most of the
See, that's kind of what I thought. I thought it's especially for immaculate grid consideration.
Yeah.
Like if you have the best batting average at that particular position, I thought that was Silver Slugger, but I'm wrong.
Well,
It's
that's where
nuanced,
they-
I guess.
Batting title, they'll give you that, but I'm not sure there's really an award for it. So, like Bobby Wood Jr. had the batting title in 2024, and he also was the Silver Slugger winner because it was obvious that he was the best offensive.
You
player,
can't
but
do one. You can't do the first without getting the second, though, right? Can we
See,
agree with that?
Well, Luis
I push
Ariz,
back.
let me see
Yeah.
how many he has, because I don't think he has.
How many
any.
batting titles does he have?
Too many.
A lot.
Larissa Rise really does.
Luis Ariz
Yeah, I mean,
has
he hit
3 batting titles.
Okay.
And he has 2 Silver Sluggers.
Well, that's stupid.
Mm-hmm.
But
he's also at second base. Well, it was for a couple of those Silver Sluggers, and there's no competition at second base. But now that he plays first base, I'm not giving him the Silver Slugger award over Vladdy Jr.
No, and he's in. Where's he at now? Where'd he sign with?
He
Who did
just signed with somebody.
Giants.
Oh yeah, gosh, he's gonna pepper the gaps there. I can see him
Big gaps
hitting
there.
330 this year.
Oh, hear that, Jack? Mark that down.
I don't know.
330 would be.
330.
I mean, he was. I would
He had like
still say that
290 last
Petco's somewhat cavernous in the app. It's deceptively cavernous. It's a little bit different. His big issue and why people knock Luis Ariz is that he's horrible defensively.
Mm-hmm.
And they assume that the soft contact and the singles aren't going to last forever. But he's also like 28. So to me, if you approached me and said, do you want somebody at worst hitting 290, whether they're singles or not? Yeah, I'd take it. I don't think I'd have too much pushback. That's my biggest gripe with some of the major analytical people. It's like batting average still matters. I'm not saying it's as important as it was years ago because Cal Raleigh was an MVP finalist and hit sub 250, but he hit 60 plus home runs and all the other advanced data you find. That's more valuable to your lineup. But to not like if you hit 290 and you're just a singles hitter, it's still 290. Like it matters a little bit there. It's better than hitting 220 or 230. You're obviously getting enough hits that is valuable to the lineup. But I think his big case against him is he's wanting a big deal because
He's
hits
also
over 300.
playing a power position and he doesn't have any. So
And that's just because he's so awful defensively. If he was fine at second base, we'd view him much differently than we do right now.
Only 7 guys this last year hit over 300. Now the fun thing would be, maybe it's an ATP or ATH. Name the 7 that hit over 300 because I don't think you could name all of them.
I guarantee I couldn't. Todd Light, 57.
That's baseball.
No, it's not.
Oh,
Former defensive back.
okay.
Played with the Rams. I think he went to Notre Dame. I think he played in the Catholics versus Convicts game. We'll go that far. Does that grab you? Jimmy Smith, also 57.
That's NFL.
That's right. The receiver, Jimmy Smith. John Kruk, 65.
No, so good in the booth. But Philly, and now a color guy for the Phillies.
I've seen what was the one guy's name, the umpire's name, where he turned to the guy in the booth and he said, when you and I have a baby, we're gonna name it. It was, I can't remember what it was, but he's hilarious.
One liner after another.
Oh.
Yeah. Either one of you remember or heard the story about how he retired?
Yeah.
Got to 300 and quit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well,
go ahead, Jack.
I was gonna say his dad had his final year of playing. His dad kept showing up because he wanted to get he was a part of the 3,000 hit club, wasn't he? Or
I don't think so.
It would have been some milestone hit, or maybe it was a home run
To get to 300. That's what it was. And his dad said, get on with it. Hurry
he said,
up.
Get on. He goes, I'm not going to keep going to these games. You
Right.
better get it. That's right. It was just to finish over 300.
He wanted to finish at 300 and then quit. And that's what he did. Yeah.
Well, he tells the story that one of his old teammates, like he was struggling so much and it was hot out and he was like, I just want to go home. So he like had a teammate, that former teammate, like tell the pitcher that day, like, hey, groove him one. Like he just wants to be done. Just groove him one. And he was
I didn't hear that part.
I'll have to send you the video. He was on a Barstool and was talking about it. And he was like talking about like there was a signal and to make sure he was in on it.
Mhm.
It's pretty good. I'll have to send it to
That
you.
is guy. I hadn't heard that part. All right. Phil Ford, 70.
This one's basketball, right?
Very good. Yes. Former Kansas City King great. He was a Kings point guard when 9-year-old me was growing up following the Kansas City Kings.
Did you ever go to those games?
I went to one.
Were they at what is currently the T-Mobile Center? Or
No, God, no. It was Kemper Arena, wherever that is or was. Does that still exist, Jack? Kemper?
It does, yeah.
Okay. I think down by the stockyards, isn't it?
I think it's it's now called Hy-Vee Arena. They hold a lot of tournaments there.
Yeah. Old Kemper. Isn't Kemper where KU won the national championship?
It is in '88.
Yeah. Danny White, 74.
Football.
Very good.
You know, actually, I don't know if you're going to bring this up, but do you know what the anniversary of today is 37 years ago?
Haven't looked yet. Tell me.
Billy Tubbs grabbing the microphone.
Oh.
Yep,
Doesn't matter how
37
bad
years ago.
the officiating is. Don't throw things on the floor.
Don't throw things on the floor. Yep.
All right, cool.
Is he the OU coach?
Yes. The one that lost to KU in 88?
Yeah.
Yeah, that guy.
What are our thoughts on that? Coaches grabbing the PA mic.
I mean, I think sometimes it's necessary.
Yeah.
They'll listen, the home fans will listen to the coach.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of
Bobby Knight did it.
I
Billy
know
Tubbs did
Krzyzewski
it.
did it one time.
Yeah, Sam Weiss did it in
Of
football.
course, Krzyzewski
We
did it
played
one
that one.
time.
Yeah, of course. he did.
But I'm trying to think of like what situation would lead Paul Mills to grab the mic or
Fans throwing things on the floor would do it.
maybe.
Yep.
I can never. I can see Jerome Tang doing it for reaching 3 fouls before the under 16 timeout.
I mean, he did grab the mic the one time.
Yeah, that was after the game though.
When in game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, tricky one here. Born on this day, now dead. Vic Wirtz would have been 101 today.
Oh, geez. You said big four or non-big four?
I didn't, but it's big four.
Let's go baseball then.
Yeah, Vic Wirtz hit the ball that Willie Mays caught over his shoulder. You know that catch?
Oh,
like
yeah.
a million feet from home plate. Vic Wirtz is the guy that hit it. Also born on this day, now dead. Bill Veeck.
How about that?
How
Sports
about
shirt,
that
Bill.
indeed.
And now in my family tree, I guess.
Yes. Jack is kin to Bill Veeck. Born on this day in 1914. Told you it was a big day.
It is.
You've almost run the table.
Still missed one.
You did miss one. Yeah.
I've had better days.
Dying on this day, Jeremy Giambi, 4 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Jason's brother, Jeremy.
47.
There's reports of him on the weed,
Yeah.
strip
The
club.
strip clubs. Former Royal and Athletic and 2 other teams. Jeremy been traded to the Phillies.
What is sort of glossed over in which we know there's tons of stuff they glossed over, like having Barry Zito and Miguel Tejada.
Those guys play for that team?
Exactly. You never know.
I love the movie.
Jeremy,
I don't know baseball.
Yeah, you'd never know.
Jeremy was really good before they traded him. So Art's reaction is absolutely warranted for trading him.
The way he played for
his
them?
numbers were good.
Yep.
Yes. You are outside your mind.
Yeah, cuckoo. Also dying on this day, Hank Bauer.
Baseball.
Very good. Who'd they get for Giambi?
Mabry.
Jason?
Was it Mabry?
It was Mabry. Yeah, it was John Mabry, I'm pretty sure. Maybe
No,
what?
you're thinking about Jeremy,
Maybe
right?
who?
Jeremy.
Yeah, Jeremy
Yeah.
Giambi.
Stand by. Let me see if there's anything
I'm
else.
putting money. I'm pretty sure it was Mabry coming over from Philly.
I think that's right.
Because he
They acquired
trades him.
Giambi from the Royals in exchange for Brett Laxton. They
Well, yeah, I knew he was a Royal before.
Played together during the 2000-2001 season.
Yeah, but who did the A's trade Giambi to?
John Mabry. And
There
that's
we
it.
go.
Yeah, there
Okay.
we go.
1 for 1?
Yeah.
He'll be
1 for
fine,
1.
Ed.
And then he got traded to the Red Sox for
He's a good guy.
Josh Hancock.
Expecting your call. Josh Hancock. Blast from the past. Dying on this day, also Bud Wilkinson. Back in 1994.
Football, right?
Yeah, coach. Very good. Former University of Oklahoma head coach. Died at the age of 77. College football Hall of Fame coach.
Oh, man.
Fun working here.
Yeah. It's not as funny as the sneeze fest that happened when we were up in Kansas City. What was that, a year and a half ago?
I'd forgotten about that.
Man.
Remind
that
me.
was what
was
somebody
that again?
in the war room was sneezing like crazy, and Jack
Oh.
thought it was me. We were up in Kansas City for our
Yeah,
annual meeting.
That's right.
Settle down.
It wasn't even me. Oh man.
See, that's what my brother will have those sneezing attacks. I'm like, will you just go excuse yourself? I go, let's just stop. If it's like comes on to you that strong, you just need to leave. And some people don't.
Shane does that
acknowledge
to me all the time.
Yeah, see,
I've
full
known-
disclosure, people don't know this. I guarantee you got some kind of streak going.
Of just being
Sneezing
loud.
at least once a day. No,
Oh.
sneezing at least once a day. This guy
Yeah.
sneezes more than
I
anybody
might
I've
be
ever
allergic
been
to
around.
something here in the office, maybe.
Allergies?
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not buying it. It's just some weird affliction. But anyway. Yeah, that was funny. I'm glad you brought that up. All right, stick around. Chance and the Pulse is next.
Push him.
Dip.
Wichita's sports leader. ESPN Wichita 92.3 FM. KKGQ Newton.
And we are all tied up in the bottom of the ninth. Bases loaded. Electric in here. Electric. It all comes down to this pitch. You throw the fastball here. But it looks like Brock is walking off the field and is leaving the stadium. What is going on here?
I'm getting word that he left to get a taco.
When you need a taco, you need a taco. Introducing the new Cantina Crispy Melt Taco, only from Taco Bell. At participating U.S. locations for a limited time only.
Progressive presents Adjusting to the Suburbs. You just bought a home in the suburbs, but no one told you about all the birds, specifically this one, who seems to be calling out Roy. Roy. But who exactly is Roy? And why doesn't he ever respond? Maybe Roy is just bird speak for save with Progressive by bundling your home and auto. I guess until Roy answers, we'll never know. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, coverage provided in service by affiliates and third-party insurers.
I can't believe tax season is here already. Look at all this info I have to enter.
Phil's small accounting firm is growing in numbers.
Why didn't I take that typing class in high school?
A data entry specialist could really help him in a crunch.
I got blisters on my fingers.
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Today on Hey Culligan Smart Home, Smarter Water Softener. Here's Kevin.
Hey, Culligan, can a smart water softener lift those heavy salt bags for me?
Kevin, it can.
Wait, it can?
Yep, the smart high-efficiency water softener from Culligan can alert your dealer when the salt needs to be replaced, and they'll do it for you, so your water stays soft and you stay away from lifting the bags.
I mean, I could lift them if I wanted.
No judgment here, Kevin. We're happy to do it, and we're already on the way. Let us help you out with a free in-home water test with the local Culligan water expert at Culligan.com.
Hi, I'm Martha Stewart, and I have a question for you. You know that unwelcome guest everyone wishes would just leave already? That's COVID-19. That's why I got an updated booster designed to help protect against recent Omicron variants. Got it? Check eligibility and schedule your updated COVID booster at vaccines.gov. Sponsored by Pfizer and BioNTech.
The future will be amazing, and that's all well and good. But what about today? You can feel the rush of a 400 horsepower Nissan Z, or climb to new heights in the all-terrain Nissan Frontier. Light up the road in the all-electric Nissan Ariya that feels like a sci-fi dream come true. The future will be great, but today is made for thrill.
Wichita's
All you have to do is get
sports
your
leader.
Nissan and drive.
ESPN Wichita, 92.3 FM.
This is Sports Center.
I'm Christine Lisi. As he enjoys the Super Bowl 60 celebration along with the rest of the Seahawks organization, Clint Kubiak's getting ready to start his next chapter. The now former Seattle offensive coordinator hired as the Raiders' new head coach, and some assistants might follow him out the door to Vegas, according to ESPN NFL senior insider Adam Schefter.
They have on their staff a quarterbacks coach by the name of Andrew Giannakko, and I think Andrew Giannakko is going to be an offensive coordinator, whether that's with Clint Kubiak in Las Vegas or whether he stays on in Seattle to become an assistant. Michael Burns spent the 20.
All right, Jack, you got the Dean interview that I sent you?
I would imagine he might go.
I do, yes.
Adam Schefter
Okay,
on the Pat McAfee Show. Following the arrest of Falcons rookie James Pierce Jr. on 5 felony charges after allegedly crashing his vehicle into one driven by his former girlfriend, WNBA player Rakia Jackson, over the weekend, the NFL says it will review the matter under the personal conduct policy. NBA OKC's Jalen Williams set to return from a hamstring injury at the Lakers tonight. LA's Luka Doncic, meantime, out again with a strained hamstring.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Candy, coming up Tuesday. The Seahawks are the champs, but will they be in the top spot of my top 5 Super Bowl contenders heading into next season? It's on Sportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
You're listening to The Pulse with Pat Strathman on ESPN Wichita 92.3 FM.
Small town, big dreams, and a young boy the age of 15 had a premonition his city would get seen. Now I'm winning, get sheen in the city of.
What's up, Wichita? Happy Monday, Super Bowl Monday. Happy Monday to all of you out there. I'm Chance Lebo, and this is The Pulse on Wichita Sports Leader, ESPN Wichita, 92.3 FM, and streaming live across the ESPN Wichita app. Thank you for joining us, however you may be joining us. Standing by in the wings is producer and contributor Jack Johnson. He's running the ones and twos today. You'll hear from him here in a little bit. If you would like to listen to today's show, be sure to listen on your smart speaker. Just tell Alexa or your smart home, play KKGQ. That's our 4-letter signal. That is how you can listen to us on your smart speaker. You can also tune in on the radio dial, 92.3 FM. you have the access to the ESPN Wichita app free of charge. All you have to do is download it. It doesn't take up much space, and it's really easy. You take us on the go with you. You've got everything you could possibly desire on there. You have easy access to the text line. If somehow, some way you forget the number, well, you can always text us via the app. You can also listen to whatever we're playing at that time, whether it's Clinton and Friends, Rich Eisen, this show, Shane Dennis show, KU basketball. It's all on there. Or if you miss something that you just got a hankering for wanting to go back and listen to, you can go back and listen on the ESPN Wichita app. Or if you're on your desktop, you can go to espnwichita.com. You have access to all of that jazz on there as well. And if you want, you can watch us on YouTube or on Twitter or on Facebook. Just search ESPN Wichita on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook. We are on all of those devices. We brought up the text line. You'll need it. 316-247-0923. That's the number here today. Every day, 24 hours, 7 days a week. 316-247-0923. And the hotline number is 316-669-4996. Going back to looks like I will have lottery tickets to give away for you here today. So be sure to punch that number into your phone at some point today. 316-669-4996. We'll have some lottery tickets to give away here for you today. That is the number to call when we give those away. All right, here's what's coming up on the show for you today. Here in a little bit, we'll talk about the KU game on Saturday. We'll lightly touch on that game because I think it was more of a dress rehearsal for the Jayhawks. It seemed like they treated it as such. I felt like they could have named their number on Saturday. We'll talk about that game and then tonight's big contest against Arizona. 225, Wichita State handles Tulane. It was an impressive win on Super Bowl Sunday for the Shocks. They've got a big week ahead. We'll tell you what's coming up this week for Wichita State, how you can be a factor in those games against first-place teams in the American. We'll get into all that and more on the show here at 225. Then at 245, we'll have our Beasts of the Week, which will basically just be our Super Bowl talk, NFL talk, offseason talk, etc. Then at 3 o'clock, we'll talk K-State. Wildcats inventing new ways to lose. They fall on Saturday in new fashion. We'll say that. We'll talk about that at 3 o'clock. Then at 3:25, I had the opportunity this morning to talk to Friends women's basketball coach Dean Jaderston ahead of a 3-game homestand for the Friends Falcons. They're at home for 3 straight games. They want your support. They want you to come out and wrap up the season with them. We'll talk to Dean at 3:25, and then at 3:45, it'll be a Mount Rushmore Monday. That's the show for you here today. I was telling Jack that, I was telling Shane that this is I believe the 4th straight Monday that I have filled in for Pat. 4 out of the last 5 Mondays I've filled in for Pat, 3 straight, and happy to be here with you here on a Monday. Pat arrived back in one piece. There's no worries about his travel or anything, but he did bring back some under the weather behavior. He is not feeling so well, woke up with a fever. He will try to be back, I'm sure, tomorrow. But tomorrow, if you are out and about tomorrow, wanting to grab lunch or something, and you need to pick up a little something extra, Pat or myself likely will be at CBD American Shaman Botanicals. That's out east. So for you that want to live life with the feather, we'll be out at CBD American Shaman Botanicals. It'll either be Pat or myself out there tomorrow. So be sure to set your calendar to that and be sure to join Pat or myself out there tomorrow from 2 to 4. That'll be from tomorrow. Maybe Pat will get the relief that he needs from CBD American Shaman Botanicals. All right, it's time now to cover all angles, brought to you by Conradi Insurance Group. When life throws the unexpected your way, Conradi Insurance is here, covering all angles. From home and auto to business and beyond, we've got you protected. Visit ConradiInsurance.com today. Let's talk briefly about KU Utah before we really dive into tonight's game against Arizona. I told Shane on Friday, and I was looking at the look-ahead line, and I saw Utah plus 19.5, and I told Shane that game is going to be a lot closer than people think. And it's not so much that Utah is this world beater or a team that is all that great. It's more so the fact that KU is coming off a long layoff. They played Monday. Then they get a home game against a lowly Utah team. Then they have a quick turnaround. They face Arizona on Monday. So I felt like this would be more so KU just going through the motions. And that was kind of what it was early on. Utes kind of gave KU a test early on. Utah was leading or tying the game until about 13 minutes to play in the first half. KU's offense, 7 turnovers in the first half. It was a frustration point for Bill Self as they headed into the locker room. But KU would close the first half on a 28-17 run. They trailed at one point 14-10. They took a 38-31 lead into the locker room. It was really when KU was focused in, locked in a stance defensively, running offense as it's meant to be run. They were really getting what they wanted. Utah did not hold a candle to KU on the inside. KU, in terms of points in the paint, I felt like Kansas could have really just held Utah at bay. I thought that Kansas was extremely impressive in terms of scoring from the inside. They finished Saturday's game with a grand total of 42 of their 71 points coming from in the paint. Flory Badunga and Bryson Tiller, I really love the two-man game. They run off of each other, but it was the turnovers that really left you with a bad taste in your mouth heading into halftime. KU led by 7. Utah would get the lead down to 2 at 42-40 with 16:45 to play, but an 18-4 run by Kansas would reach a 16-point lead. Darren Peterson got a pair of buckets in that period, including an and one dunk to really get them going. Utah would get a pair of buckets to get the lead down to 10. Trey White would then score a pair, and that would keep Utah at bay. KU would win 71-59. Flory Badunga was a dominant presence on Saturday against Utah. 16 points, 10 rebounds, 3 assists, a career-high 7 blocks, 7 for 8 from the field. Let's earmark that here in a little bit before we kind of go through the rest of the standouts for KU. Trey White, 16 points, a quiet 16 points for Trey White. Darren Peterson, 14 points. He had 33 points in the week, but shot at just 38% from the field, 33% from 3. It kind of felt like Utah was hunting him a little bit in the pick and roll coverage. There were times defensively where it felt like he was kind of who they were going at. And speaking of going at, I've kind of been intrigued by the Cole Rosario ebbs and flows this season because he's a kid that has a really high ceiling. Everybody at the KU facility seems to really like the kid, think he has a really high, could really impact the game, but just has fell out of the rotation. And they played him in total. I mean, he played, let's look, Cole Rosario played 6 minutes in the contest. He was -10 in terms of plus minus. And I don't like to look at plus minus as a real indicator of where you're at. It's more of a there a lot of things go into play when that happens. But Cole Rosario, it felt like he was hunted when he was in the game, and he was not playing well defensively. That was when Utah really started to climb back. I would imagine that Cole Rosario will not get any minutes tonight, except for maybe if KU gets up a ton or down a ton. But just some small takeaways. I thought that they could have named their number. KU shot 50% from the field, but I thought that they could have played much better. They were 3 of 18 from 3. Trey White was 0 for 4. Darren Peterson was 1 for 5. Jamari McDowell was 0 for 3. They really didn't shoot it all that well, so I'm not really all that concerned by that. But Utah, I mean, Okonkwo really played well. I thought that KU, there wasn't much hustle at times. Utah had 7 offensive rebounds. I thought that was a concern a little bit. But I thought the Kansas played much better than Utah did, and they were a much better team. They could have named their number. They could have gone out and scored 90 if they wanted to, but they knew that they had a big test coming up tonight. And, Jack, we earmarked Flory Badunga in his performance. I was really impressed with how he played, and Shane and I kind of bounced around the question a little bit. Is he an All-American? I was looking at his numbers, and I think that he was impressive enough during the Darren Peterson exodus where I think that he's deserving of at least some consideration when it comes to All-American. Now, it's a really good year for forwards. Boozer, Toppin, Dabansa. If you're going in a All-American group that has forwards and guards separated, I feel like it's going to be really tough for him to sniff the top 6. But I think that at 14 points, 9 rebounds, he leads the conference in blocks at almost 3 a game, field goal percentage at 68%. I feel like it's going to be hard for him. I think he's the defensive player of the year in the conference, but just so many strides that he's made this year as an offensive player compared to where he was at last year. I feel like he not only should be in the defensive player of the year conversation, but also potentially most improved player as well.
Yeah, you can absolutely take that into consideration. I mean, this is why KU just didn't want him to walk away in the offseason when he got to the transfer portal. I mean, it appeared that he was destined for Auburn, and Bruce Pearl had done a pretty big job in recruiting him, or at least tried to really push to go and get him. And Kansas understood that this is somebody that really still fit their rotation, could be their number 5 guy, even at his size of being only around 6'8", 6'9". I mean, he's second in the country in blocks. He's started to turn into a much better rebounder, which that was a knock on him early on in the season. Was, he can dunk, he can catch lobs, he's quick, he's a good defender. But if you can't rebound at the 5 spot, you're not going to be able to play against Big 12 competition. Those bigs are going to eat you alive. There's a lot of guys that are going to go average double digits in rebounds. And that's something that he has just steadily improved on each and every game. I mean, you go over his last 5, he had 9 boards against Colorado, 10 against Kansas State, only 6 against BYU. But his, key in that game was staying on A.J. DeBanson. He did that very well. He had 9 against Texas Tech, and he had 10 against Utah and 7 blocks. And the block numbers is what have been really impressive as well.
Agreed.
I mean, 4 against Colorado, 3 against K-State, 2 each against BYU and Texas Tech, and then to have 7 against Utah. Yes, we can factor in competition, and they're not very good, and they're probably going to fall for that trick in the post of where he's staying grounded, he's not jumping, and they try to trick him with shooting one underneath or reverse layup, and he always seems to be ready for it. I would say that an All-American nod might be a bit of a stretch. Most improved player, you can make a really strong case for that, because last year behind Dickinson, only played in 16 minutes a game. He's shooting around the same, but at a much higher volume this year, kind of in the high 60s or low 70s. Blocks per game, he's got more than a block and a half per game. He is averaging nearly 15 points a game, where last year only 6. He shot 53% from the line last year. He's north of 65% this year, and he's nearly to 9 rebounds. That, to me, is the definition of the most improved player, and I would go as far to say that his development, along with Darren Peterson being more available in these games, that's been why Kansas has gotten back to being an elite defensive team, having that post presence and being able to run the offense through him from time to time. And so for tonight, you've got quite a beast to deal with in Koa Pete. That's one of the better bigs that he's gone up against all year long. But his flexibility in guarding all 5 spots, that's what they all loved about him early on in the year. Issue was he was getting into foul trouble. He was, falling for shot fakes, and that wasn't being able to really showcase how good he was as a defender. And now we're starting to see that if you can guard all 5 spots as a 6'9" big, you can be in consideration for Defensive Player of the Year. My vote is still Chenyolu out of Florida. He seems to be just a different animal. But Flory Badunga, it shows that his soccer background has really helped him with the footwork, because if he didn't have that footwork, he would be nowhere near as good as he is defensively right now.
And you brought up his recent stretch. In conference play, he's averaging nearly 4 blocks a game. I mean, he's just that good. And it should be noted that the Big 12 is an absolute gauntlet, and it's at its best the 4 position with Debansa, Toppin. Momcilovic is shooting 54% from 3 at Iowa State. The Josh Jefferson kid at Iowa State's nearly a triple-double. I mean, there's some really good wings in this conference, which may prevent Flory from being, unless they put him at the 5 spot, at the center spot, but he's just been so good. And you brought it up, Jack, his development and just improvement in season, because there were times in the players era where it was felt like he was kind of unplayable. You couldn't throw the ball to him offensively because he was just turning it over too much. But he's improved so much, and tonight's going to be a real test for him. He's a little bit undersized at 6'9", and I feel like once he gets measured at the combine, it might be a little bit closer to 6'8", because he just has really long arms. He feels taller than 6'8", but tonight he's going to have his hands full. This is a really, no joke, no crap chance. The Arizona, number 1 in the country, 23-0. They're really good, but their strength is at the big position. Arizona gets the 6th most of the points from 2 in the country. They're a team that loves to shoot from the paint, a team that is dominant inside. This is a team that is going to truly test the strengths and how much both Flory Badunga as well as Bryson Tiller have improved throughout this season, because we talked about it a little bit last week, or maybe it was 2 weeks ago after the K-State game, about how much Bryson Tiller has stepped forward and played well. This is going to be a game where I'm curious to see the rotations for Bill Self. He has not really dug deep into his bench. They've been going with a lot of 4-guard lineups with Tiller on the bench and Flory at the 5 and running Trey White at the 4. I mean, I'm going to pull up KenPom here, where they have Kansas, their most utilized lineup over this last 5 games has been with Trey White at the 4 and in using Flory at the 5. That's not going to work tonight. I don't think that's going to work tonight as much against this Arizona team, who is, by all intents and purposes, really big. They're 7th tallest in KenPom height rating. They are playing, you would expect a team like them who has struggled, or not struggled, who has been so dominant this season to maybe struggle once they got into conference play. Man, it feels like they're hitting their stride. I'm not sure if you watched their game against Oklahoma State on Saturday, and I don't expect you to have, but Oklahoma State shot 24% from the field and 47 points in total. Arizona just ran them over. Arizona was 2 of 14 from 3 and won by damn near 40 points. They have struggled from 3 here recently. They're 10 of 37 from 3 in their last 3 games after a 10 of 23 performance against West Virginia. Their one knock, they only have 3 quad 1 games in Big 12 play, at TCU, at UCF, and then at BYU. Other than outside of the BYU game, I haven't been all that impressed by who they have faced in Big 12 play. Now, they have earned the right to be as good as they have earned the right to be as heralded as they are. They've had some impressive wins. They went into Stores and beat UConn. They smoked Florida early in the season. They smoked Alabama. They beat the doors off of Auburn by almost 30 points. So I'm not all that concerned about Arizona as a team. I'm not going to use the F word and call them a fraud, but this is going to be their biggest test of Big 12 play. They're going into a hornet's nest in Kansas on a short week. They did get a dominant win against Oklahoma State. They did have the opportunity to rest some guys, but they're going into the depths of hell to face a team that has won, 7 straight now, is playing probably the best basketball they've played all season. And Bill Self, 38-0 in his career on Big Monday. This is the first time ever in Kansas program history that they've hosted the number 1 team at Allen Fieldhouse in the AP poll. They hosted number 1 Oklahoma in the coaches poll. This is the number 1 team in the country in the AP poll. This is not David and Goliath. This is Goliath against Goliath. I mean, Arizona, they're doing it now. KU's done it in the past. I am so intrigued by this matchup tonight. I think that this is going to be the game where we see how much Bryson Tiller has improved, because Crevis and company, they're not an easy task. They can really play. And Koa Pete gets downhill about as good as anybody. I would imagine that's probably going to be Flory's matchup. And Crevis is 7'2". Toby Awaka comes off the bench and averages 10 rebounds a game. Like, Arizona's about as long as they get. And Burries is stacked. I mean, he's built wide. I think it's going to be a tough matchup for Peterson. I'm just so enamored with what we're going to see tonight at Allen Fieldhouse between 2 of just the premier programs in college basketball right now. But Jack, I'll let you kind of take it over here. This is probably is this the biggest game at Allen Fieldhouse since the Oklahoma game back when Buddy Hield was playing at OU?
It's certainly a big one. I would say for this Kansas team to catapult itself into that top 5 team in the nation conversation, you got to get this one done tonight. And, I was saying this on Shane's show. Yes, KU is an underdog, not just in the rankings, but what Vegas is saying tonight with Arizona being a 1.5 point favorite. But I don't view it as such. This is really a game that if you are a Kansas fan, you've been a Kansas fan for a long time, they don't lose these ones in Allen Fieldhouse, no matter if it's Arizona or it's the Golden State Warriors coming in. They find ways to beat teams like this. And, it's a bear they're going up against. This is an Arizona team that has rarely been tested at all. I mean, the only other times I can think of when they were truly tested was in Stores against UConn. Yes, you can say that BYU game was a test. I thought they got a horrible whistle in that game, and that's why BYU was able to claw back into it. But their last couple of showings, man, I mean, to beat Oklahoma State, who's a bubble team, I don't care that it's at home. You beat them by nearly 40. You take care of Arizona State twice. Both those games were a bit weird, but I can also chalk it up to rivalry game, in-state rival. Those can always be a little bit tricky. They bludgeoned West Virginia. They bludgeoned Cincinnati. The road environment is where I would be curious, just because they haven't played really any solid road teams any solid Big 12 teams on the road other than BYU. And we've now seen what BYU's done over the last 6 games. They're 1-5.
Yeah.
So they've fallen back down to earth. Other than that, as you pointed out, Chance, TCU on the road, they're terrible. Utah on the road, they're terrible. UCF on the road,
UCF's
bubble
good.
team.
I considered UCF good.
Yeah, that's a good win because also KU and Texas Tech lost in Orlando this year. And then Arizona State, we know they're not very good as well. This is a big test, but I don't know if I like using that as much as I do for teams that are needing that signature win. Arizona has multiple signature wins. And though the environment's going to be phenomenal tonight, they're more than capable of finding a way to handle it. And to be honest with you, it'll come down to the start in this game. The best way to take a crowd out early, that first 4 minutes.
Yeah.
The first 4 minutes of that game, if you jump out to a 10-2 lead or, KU's not hitting anything and you're just methodically scoring every time down the floor, you're going to quiet that crowd. Now, it's not going to be that way forever because we've seen that, even if KU was down 15, that game gets cut to single digits, the place gets loud again. And what I am going to be watching for in my big takeaway is three-point shooting because I said this again on Shane's show that those teams that usually go into Allen Fieldhouse over the last couple of years and have won, they live and die by the three.
Yeah.
They are going to go in there and they're going to put up 40 to 50 threes. And if they can hit 15 or 20 of them, that's all fine and dandy.
Hell, it's what TCU did and they lost. I mean, that's kind of what TCU did.
And TCU was a team that could score at a high rate. We even saw in the Baylor game, too. I mean, early on, they started off shooting near 50% from three, hit like 7 or 8 in the first half. That's not really Arizona's speed. I could still see them shooting at a high rate tonight because these are really talented Division I basketball players at the end of the day. But it's not going to be that scenario where they're going to fire it up even if they're contested.
Yeah.
They want to play through the post. They want to outmuscle you. They want to do that pick and roll. And that's kind of who KU is as well. KU doesn't want to live and die by the three. These are teams that, quite honestly, mirror each other a little bit.
Yeah.
The difference is KU has a guy like Darren Peterson, and Arizona does not. Now, Arizona has an incredibly loaded and strong starting five. They don't have that player like Darren Peterson, though. And he, of course, and this is an obvious statement, is the X factor in this game. If he gets out to a start like he did against BYU, KU's going to win this game and might have a chance to win it rather comfortably. If he does struggle early on, looks like he did against Texas Tech, it's not a stretch to say that Arizona can settle into a rhythm and run away with this one. I expect it to be close. I expect it to be wire to wire. Even if KU has a great run to start the game, this Arizona team is talented enough and mature enough to weather that storm. Whereas BYU, they couldn't weather the storm. They did make it close at the very end, but they got punched in the mouth and they really never got back up. This is a heavyweight showdown, punch for punch. Couple guys are going to get knocked down in this one, and I'm very curious how they're going to respond because this is as good as it gets in college basketball.
Agreed.
An undefeated number 1 team against a top 10 Kansas team, and arguably, and I know as a KU fan, I'm just obligated to say this, the best venue in college basketball and the loudest venue in college basketball. It will be cinema tonight, and as a college basketball fan in general, I hope it is close. I hope we get one of those instant classics in Lawrence.
And before we move off of KU and move into the Wichita State conversation, Darren Peterson has played career-high minutes in back-to-back games, and really I thought that when he was really dialed against Utah, he was really good. But there was a lot of times, and it was my complaint about DeBanza when they played at Allen a couple weeks or a week ago now, that there were times where it just felt like he was missing. That and Utah did a fantastic job of covering him up, but he has not shot the ball especially well. He's 10 for 26 over the last 2 games. And now I don't think I'm all that worried about tonight's game with him, but do you worry at all about his legs tonight against Arizona after playing 34 and 35 minutes in the last 2 games against Tech and Utah?
I guess you always have to have some sort of awareness of it, that it's possible in this game he could cramp up because they've never really gone away. But this is also the first time this season that he's gotten through back-to-back games in length. And now they were not quite a week apart from each other, but you had the game against BYU where he didn't really play in the second half. Then you play on Big Monday in Lubbock. Thought it was a good sign that even with sitting out in the second half, he didn't have any limitations on the Big Monday game. Then you have the 4 to 5 days off, and you're able to play against Utah. It's going to be in the back of my mind for sure.
I'm not saying he's going to cramp up, but I'm saying like his three-pointer might not be as crisp tonight, or he might need to go out for an extended period of time just to get rest. I mean, because
the legs back.
It's not just Peterson; it's the entire team. I mean, this. I was talking with Shane. It's like Self is playing 7 guys, and that's tough to do, especially on a 2-day turnaround. I'm sure Bill Self really wished they beat the brakes off of Utah so we could get some guys some rest on Saturday.
Yeah, and that's, it's more so about Self doing this throughout, most of his time at KU. In fact, some of his worst teams played about 8 to 9 guys because nobody could get into a rhythm. I really believe that the starting 5 they have is conditioned to be a 30-plus minute a game starting 5 where you're not having to worry about Melvin Council coming out. You're not having to worry about Trey White coming out, Bryson Tiller, Flory Badunga, and Darren Peterson. And then you just need, give or take 10 to 15 from Marco Jackson, Jamari McDowell. And, we'll see Cole Rosario from time to time. We got to take into account that he's a reclassified young kid. I think that early on there was so much pressure put on him because he was a freshman that was starting games. And he does a lot of the little things very well. His shot looks smooth. They're just not falling. And that's the frustrating part as a KU fan. And I have no doubt frustrating for him because, man, he's athletic as hell. I mean, there's a lot of things that he can do to impact the game. You can't play him, though, right now in the games like this because you got to be able to score. You can't be a liability defensively. And going into tonight, I mean, Marco Jackson's been battling that knee injury a little bit. Didn't play on Saturday so that he could go in a game like this. I'm not sure it's going to burn them in the end of having a shorter bench because they've always really had that. I mean, the team that won the national championship in 2022, they really only played about 7 guys. If you want to say they played, Jalen Coleman lands a little bit. I mean, he'd get 6 minutes a game or something. But usually they want to play 7, so none of these guys are getting out of rhythm. And then, yes, you are going to need some games where you're dog tired and you need somebody to go spell you for about 10 minutes or so. But I'm not sure tonight there needs to be a big concern over conditioning because at the end of the day, Chance, it is February 9th. If you got some guys out there that aren't conditioned to play 30-plus minutes a game, then you're screwed before the tournament even starts. And really the only guy you have to worry about is Darren Peterson because of the cramping issues, because of the lack of rhythm he's been able to get into. We'll have to wait and see, though, because if he doesn't start the game well, he still can always have that stretch where he catches fire. But I know for Kansas fans, you're hoping that, these big games he's played in the past, he usually shows up in those first 5 to 6 minutes of the game, and they're going to need every bit of it tonight. They're going to need 35-plus minutes from Darren Peterson because this Arizona team is too damn good to have your B-plus performance against. You got to have an A- to A performance tonight to win.
Yeah, and the thing about Arizona, they got 5 guys that can score it. They got 5 guys you're going to have to guard, and so it's going to be a challenge, I'm sure, all night for Kansas, and it should be a great game. You can hear pregame coverage beginning with Kansas Nation from 6 to 6:30. Then it'll be Brian Haney and the crew from 6:30 till tip-off at 8 o'clock with post-game coverage starting right after the game and taking you into ESPN evening coverage. KU and Arizona, number 9 versus number 1. Bill Self trying to get his 39th straight win on Big Monday, and Arizona looking to be the first team as the number 1 team in the country to win in Allen Fieldhouse, not named Kansas. When we come back, we'll talk Wichita State. They take down Tulane. They've got a big week on tap. We'll tell you about that. But before we get there, we've got some Kansas lottery tickets to give away. $30 in scratchers up in the air. You can grab them. Just call 316-669-4996. Jack will get you all hooked up. And we'll talk Shocks when we come back here on The Pulse on ESPN Wichita, 92.3 FM.
You're tuned into The Pulse on ESPN Wichita 92.3 FM.
Every winning team needs a strong defense, and so do you. Don't let the flu sideline you this season. Get your quick, easy flu shot at DAM Pharmacies. No appointment needed. With 6 convenient locations in and around Wichita, it's never been easier to stay in the game. DAM Pharmacies, protecting fans all season long. Visit them today at dampharmacy.com.
And we are all tied up in the bottom of the 9th. Bases loaded. Electric in here. Electric. It all comes down to this pitch. You throw the fastball here. But it looks like Brock is walking off the field and is leaving the stadium. What is going on here?
I'm getting word that he left to get a taco.
When you need a taco, you need a taco. Introducing the new Cantina Crispy Melt Taco, only from Taco Bell. At participating U.S. locations for a limited time only.
And we are all tied up in the bottom of the ninth. Bases loaded. Electric in here. Electric. It all comes down to this pitch. You throw the fastball here. But it looks like Brock is walking off the field and is leaving the stadium. What is going on here?
I'm getting word that he left to get a taco.
When you need a taco, you need a taco. Introducing the new Cantina Crispy Melt Taco, only from Taco Bell. At participating U.S. locations for a limited time only.
And now another no-brainer money-saving tip from Progressive.
Marcus, what happened?
I was changing my oil and I spilled some on the floor.
Oh, well, use these $50 bills to wipe it up.
Perfect. Got any more?
Yeah, take a couple hundred.
Stop. Instead of using money, use an old rag. And here's a better tip from Progressive on how not to waste money. Don't pay too much for car insurance. Drivers who switch and save could save hundreds. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary.
Hi, I'm Martha Stewart, and I have a question for you. You know that unwelcome guest everyone wishes would just leave already? That's COVID-19. That's why I got an updated booster designed to help protect against recent Omicron variants. Got it? Check eligibility and schedule your updated COVID booster at vaccines.gov. Sponsored by Pfizer and BioNTech.
The future will be amazing, and that's all well and good. But what about today? You can feel the rush of a 400 horsepower Nissan Z, or climb to new heights in the all-terrain Nissan Frontier. Light up the road in the all-electric Nissan Aria that feels like a sci-fi dream come true. The future will be great, but today is made for thrill. All you have to do is get in a Nissan and drive. 2023 Aria and Z not yet available for purchase. Expected availability is this spring for 2023 Z and this fall for 2023 Aria.
Welcome back to The Pulse on Wichita's sports leader, ESPN Wichita, 92.3 FM. Chance Lebo here with you, filling in for Pat today. We'll see if he's back in the saddle tomorrow. As we take a look now at what has happened here in Wichita, as the Wichita State Shockers were victorious yesterday, picking up another Super Bowl Sunday win as they take down the Tulane Green Wave. It was an impressive performance for Wichita State. Winners of 5 of the last 6. Their only loss coming to first place Tulsa. They handled Charlotte on Wednesday. They took down Tulane yesterday. Wichita State puts themselves in a favorable position heading into a final a final 7-game stretch in conference play that could see them climb up the American Conference rankings. But let's break down their win against Tulane yesterday. They were able to use their defensive prowess to slow down a Tulane team that is not having the best of seasons. Ron Hunter has really seen his team struggle after last year when they were one of the top teams in the conference for much of the season. They finished 12-6. They are one of the top runner-ups in the conference last year. But this year was quite a struggle for Tulane, much more similar to the 2024 team than last year's team. They entered yesterday's game off a win against Memphis. That was their first win in 5, and they lose yesterday against Wichita State. In Wichita State, early in the game, it was hard to find some offense. Neither team led by more than 4 before a 15-7 run by Wichita State gave them a 31-26 lead at the half. Dylan Batee would score 5 straight points. Karan Boyd would hit a pair of jumpers to help strengthen the grip. 31 points at half. It really didn't feel like that. Wichita State and Tulane both really struggled in the game to score, but later on, Wichita State would start to find their offensive rhythm. That feels like much of what it's been all season for Wichita State offensively, where very hit or miss. The ebbs and flows of the offense, certainly something that we have noticed this season. But Wichita State, they didn't reach the 20-point mark until about 8 minutes to play in the first half. It was an offensive struggle for them. They went 11 of 18 on 2-point field goals. They would bring in 21 rebounds, but 9 turnovers for Wichita State. And if you follow Wichita State and if you'd followed them this season, turnovers has been something they've been able to hold off for the most part. they really have not turned the basketball over that much. It's been something that they pride themselves on. A team that doesn't have a whole lot of ball handlers, but they don't turn the basketball over. They get quality shots. But in the first half yesterday against Tulane, turnovers were an issue. They would build the lead up to 11 points, 3 triples from Karan Boyd to open the half would get it up to 11 before the Green Wave got to within 7. A 15-4 run from Wichita State would help them build an 18-point advantage with 8:58 to play. Then Ringgold and Brumbaugh wouldn't go down without a fight. Tulane would get to the free throw line to get their advantage in a 9-0 run in a minute 36 with 7 minutes to play in the second half. Dre Kendall would hit a 3 with 2:10 left to play that would really put Tulane out of reach as Wichita State would pull away and win 75-61. It was a struggle from behind the arc for Wichita State yesterday, a team that this season has relied on their guards. I mean, this is a team that gets a lot of their points from their guards. You think about Kenyon Giles and just what he provides this team offensively. They struggled yesterday. Michael Gray Jr., 1 for 8. Kenyon Giles, 3 for 11. He had 4 points up until the final minute of play. All in all, the Wichita State starting guards combined to go 4 of 19 from the field, 1 of 10 from three-point range, and finished with just 9 points. Michael Gray Jr., his struggles are something that I'm certainly keeping an eye on because in conference play, he's struggled. In his last 6 games, he's been almost unplayable. He's been solid defensively, but in his last 6 games, he's averaging just 5 points per game, shooting 21% from the field, 18% from 3. He has shot under 33% or worse in 8 of 11 conference games. That's just unplayable right now. And he's not exactly a creator offensively either. He did have 6 assists yesterday, which helped the Shockers out a ton, but he's not really a true point. He's more of a 2 guard, and Wichita State needs him to play like a 1. And right now he's not playing well offensively. And I think that's a big reason why Wichita State needs him to play much better. He has to be much better, especially in games where Kenyon Giles has not really done much. Michael Gray Jr. has to be somebody for Wichita State. I mean, even in his last 2 games, he was 2 for 15 last week in total. His assist numbers have been better, but in conference play, he's shooting at just 32% from the field. He's got 2.5 assists per game. That's just not good enough for him this season. And for Wichita State, they need him to be much better. They got great performances from the wings. Karan Boyd, 18 points, 11 rebounds, 6 of 14 from the field, 4 for 7 from three-point range. Dylan Batee poured in a career-high 19 points, 9 rebounds, 3 steals. Wichita State held Tulane to just 19 of 53 shooting, 3 of 17 from 3. They out-rebounded Tulane 45-31. Paul Mills, I'm sure, after their game against Tulsa, where they mentioned a couple times, we have to be more physical. The physicality caught us off guard. Against Tulane, I don't think that was the case. Wichita State had 14 offensive rebounds. They had 21 fouls, 4 block shots. Noah Hill got 7 minutes of action, and it looked like he was a linebacker. He looked like he was playing for the Seahawks yesterday because he was just blowing guys up. He actually pulled in 4 rebounds in 7 minutes, 2 of them offensive. He also had 2 fouls. But Noah Hill, he got some minutes and was running around like crazy out there. But Wichita State, they're 15-9, 7-4 in league play. They've won 6 of their last 7 contests. And this week, they've got a chance to make some noise. They get South Florida, who knocked off Tulsa yesterday. They get them on Wednesday. They sit a game back of both USF and Tulsa, who are tied for the conference lead this season at 8-3. You look at the standings, Wichita State a half a game back of Temple, who's 7-3 in conference play. They're tied with Charlotte and Memphis. They have the tiebreaker over both Charlotte and Memphis. And Tulsa and South Florida are up next. And Wichita State, they've always had that home court advantage at Charles Koch Arena. I would argue it's the best home court advantage in the conference. And now they get the 2 conference frontrunners at home. This is going to be a big test for Paul Mills and the Shockers. The preparation coming into this week, it's going to be paramount because South Florida is a team that Wichita State was able to beat in overtime. But that was a game in which at one point they trailed by a large margin. They at one point led by a large margin. And Tulsa, they never played well in that game against Tulsa. So now you have a big game coming up. And you could easily put yourself in a position to be the number 1 or number 2 seed in the American Conference tournament, because, folks, they have an opportunity after the South Florida and Tulsa game. They could coast. Temple is a team that is a half game ahead of them in conference standings, so they get 3 of the 4 teams ahead of them in conference standings in their 3 of the next 4. But if they win the next 2, East Carolina, 269 in KenPom. Temple, 146 in KenPom. They do go to Memphis, and that will be a challenge. Memphis is playing much better since their loss at Wichita State. But UTSA is 350 in KenPom. FAU, they get them at home. They got smoked by FAU in Boca their first time playing. But there is a non-zero chance that Wichita State could be your American Conference regular season champion. They get teams in front of them over their next 7 games. But they also have those teams in front of them coming up over the next 7 games. So it is going to decide whether they get a double bye all the way to the semis, or if they are trying to climb up out of the gutter. Because remember, only the first 10 in the standings reach the American Conference tournament. So it'll be a challenge for Wichita State. They could see themselves slide all the way down to the 7 spot if they were to have an 0-2 week. So this is a big swing week for Wichita State, with the 2 top teams in the conference coming up, and Wichita State needs every opportunity in front of them as they have home games against South Florida and Tulsa. Kevin Saul and company, they are advertising the heck out of it. They want you to know that this is a great opportunity to come and see the Shockers and help out the Shockers this week. They are offering a great deal on tickets. You can get GA tickets for $25 for both games. Yes, that's right. You can get a GA ticket, a 2 for $25 deal for GA tickets to both South Florida and Tulsa for $25. And of course, I'm sure a lot of you might have Valentine's Day plans. That is this Saturday, but maybe you could move those to the afternoon, or hell, maybe even move them to a brunch on Sunday. But this is going to be a big opportunity for Wichita State over the next week to get into the driver's seat in the American. And Wichita State, they have not finished with more than 12 wins in conference play since their first year in the American. KenPom has them finishing at 12-6 in American play, which would be their first 12-win conference season since their first season in the American. It'll be a big swing for Wichita State coming up this week, starting on Wednesday as they host South Florida. All right, when we come back, we will have our Super Bowl talk. It'll be our Beast of the Week. We'll talk about what happened. Super Bowl Sunday talk coming up next here on The Pulse on ESPN Wichita, 92.3 FM.
The heartbeat of Wichita sports fans. The Pulse on ESPN Wichita 92.3 FM.
A shout out to the incredible doctors, nurses, care aides, and physical therapists at Kansas Pace Centers. And of course, the drivers. Everyone loves their drivers. Every day you help older adults live safely and independently while giving families much needed support. Kansas Pace makes aging at home possible and takes pressure off family caregivers. If you've been searching for real help for a parent or loved one, see how Kansas Pace can partner with your family. Learn more today at kansaspace.org.
Gillies Park City is open, and the legendary Honky Tonk Spirit is alive every night. Step inside for Ladies' Night every Wednesday. Free admission for ladies and $2 well drinks all night. Line dancing lessons every Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Then hold on tight and ride the legendary Mechanical Bull. Karaoke Mondays at 8, no cover. And grab your crew for Gillies Social Country Night Out every Tuesday, 18 and up. Come play, cut loose, and feel the energy you can only get in Gillies, where the stars come to play. Minutes north of Wichita and Park City. More info at playgillies.com.
Your home's in your hands, you build it.
Have you ever dreamed of owning a custom home, or love your home, but your kitchen or bathroom just isn't quite right? You Build It Wichita helps you build or remodel smarter, saving you thousands compared to traditional builders and contractors while putting you in control of your project. Join them at a free home building and remodeling seminar Thursday, February 12th at 6:30 at Shields. They will walk you through the You Build It process and host a live Q&A with real past clients. It's free, informative, and could save you thousands. Reserve your seat today by visiting the You Build It Wichita Facebook page. That's Thursday, February 12th at 6:30 at Shields. Build smarter. Build with You Build It Wichita.
Your home's in your hands, you build it.
Save big money on your next painting project at Menards. Pristine interior paint and primer in one is Dutch Boy's best hiding and most durable paint. It delivers a smooth, elegant finish while providing maximum scuff, stain, and mark resistance. Save big money on Dutch Boy paints and get your painting project started today. Plus, check out our weekly flyer on menards.com for more great deals happening this week.
Save big money at Menards.
Welcome back to The Pulse here on Wichita Sports Leader, ESPN Wichita 92.3 FM, and streaming all across the ESPN Wichita app, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. Chance and Jack here with you on a Super Bowl Monday. The Seattle Seahawks, for the second time in their franchise's history, are Super Bowl champions. They finish with a 29-13 win over the Patriots in what was a fairly, I don't want to say unwatchable, but it was not the most thrilling watch of Super Bowls. You have just 3-and-out punt, then a commercial break, 3-and-out punt, commercial break. It was a tough watch, but I think it is a really cool redemption arc for Sam Darnold and the Seahawks as a franchise. I think a lot of credit needs to be given to John Schneider, the general manager of the Seahawks. He built the first Legion of Boom and then utilized the Russell Wilson debacle to reset the entire franchise. You forget now, or you kind of forget that Russell Wilson, the trade, and how much it netted for the Seahawks. It gave them the opportunity to draft Jackson Smith and Jigba, as well as Devon Witherspoon, two of the best players on their Super Bowl run. I thought that if you were going by just the film watchers, not exactly the stats, I thought that you could have had an argument for Devon Witherspoon or Leonard Williams or Byron Murphy to be the Super Bowl MVP, but that's just not how it goes sometimes. Drake May finishes with a 295-yard performance in which 235, a NFL record, were in the fourth quarter. A lot of stat padding there. It was a tough watch. Jack and I, when we talked 2 weeks ago when I was filling in for Pat, and we talked about the Patriots because they had just beat the Broncos and we had just watched them take down Jarrett Stidham. And I said, I think the Patriots are closer to, I think it's more likely the Patriots go 7-10 next year than they get back to the Super Bowl. And I stand by that take. The Patriots just did not look very good yesterday. The team, it was closer to above average than they were great. Drake May, I thought it was justifiable that he did not win the MVP. I did not think he was the MVP for 1 second of the season. And he just played really poorly yesterday. Now, I thought Mike Vrabel had some especially conservative decisions. There were multiple times between the 40s where I would have gone for it on fourth down, but you got to give credit. The Seattle defense was untouchable, and the Patriots just dropped back in spread formations. Ramondre Stevenson and Travion Henderson were not good in pass pro. Will Campbell got his tail whipped, and the Seahawks win 29-13. And you know, after every Super Bowl, you have to ask, the questions always get asked, is this the newest dynasty? And I don't think so with the Seahawks. I think they're a great NFL team. I think they were the best NFL team this year. But just like with many teams in the NFL, the best teams have players that are playing for under their value. Sam Darnold, probably underpaid compared to what he was able to do for the Seahawks this year. Kenneth Walker, the Super Bowl MVP, is going to be a free agent. Jackson Smith and Jigba is on a rookie contract. A.J. Barner scored a touchdown. He's on a rookie contract. Devon Witherspoon, Byron Murphy, those guys are all on rookie contracts, and that's kind of what happens in the NFL. And so I think that this is going to be a really fun NFL offseason. ESPN dropped their too early power rankings for the 2026 NFL season, and I thought the Chiefs were a little bit too low. They had them at 12. But just scrolling through the rankings, I mean, I think there are close to 20 teams that have a real argument to say, you know, we could, if things go right, we could go out and win the Super Bowl or at least play a conference championship game. The Commanders are ranked 20th, and the Commanders were in the conference championship game just a year ago. The Colts are at 19. They were the number 1 seed in the AFC for a majority of the season. The Chiefs are at 12, which I think is a little bit low. I do trust Brett Veach and company to at least put a more respectable product on the field this season. I think there's going to be a look in the mirror for Kansas City. I think that this is going to be a really fun NFL offseason. But, Jack, I know that you weren't a big fan of the Super Bowl last night, but I think it properly sums up what the NFL season was. It was a year that was not the most entertaining, but damn it had some really cool moments in it.
It did have some cool moments in it and some great storylines, and I'll always stand by the fact that just because your team didn't make it far doesn't mean you say that the season is a complete wash, even though I'd like to say that and have my biased view in there. The Super Bowl wasn't great. It's also a big credit to how damn good Seattle was for the entirety of this season, and we didn't acknowledge at times how good they were. The NFC was ran by the Rams, it felt like, MVP winner and Matt Stafford, Sean McVay. The Bears were a great storyline with Caleb Williams. The Eagles were trying to run it back, and Green Bay was one of my dark horse favorites as well. And we just kind of let Seattle slip through the cracks. And it wasn't until that thrilling Sunday night win, I want to say it was, maybe it was Thursday night football against the Rams.
Thursday.
Yeah, I mean, it really wasn't until then where I went, oh, this team is more than capable of winning the Super Bowl. I mean, the NFC is not dominated the last decade, but it's either been the Chiefs winning on the AFC side or the NFC in the field. And going into this Super Bowl, I wasn't confident that the Patriots were going to make that much of a game with it. It's why in our pick 6, I said my alternate spread would be Seattle minus 20. And if it wasn't for a garbage time drive by Drake May, I would have been able to hit that bet. But it's also not to take anything away from New England and what they were able to accomplish this year. Mike Vrabel, year 1, taking it over. They lose in week 1 to the Raiders, who were going to be selecting first, and they lost to them at home, by the way. And then they win 16 games, including the postseason, after that night. So there's no shame in falling short in the Super Bowl. We like to say that a lot of, you get there, and if you get humiliated, it doesn't matter. No, you still won your conference, and a lot of teams would kill to be in your spot. Hell, the Bills would have killed to be in that spot and get humiliated in the Super Bowl, even though it would have only added to their cursed franchise of losing in Super Bowls. I don't expect the Patriots to get back there next year, not just because of having the first place schedule, but because it's really hard to get to the Super Bowl. And next year, I would absolutely take the other side of a bet if you said, well, will it be a year where only Josh Allen makes the postseason and Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson miss, or only one of those 3 makes the postseason? I would much rather take the field in that, and that all 3 of them will be back and in the postseason, and it will be much harder to win in January. Not saying it's going to be the Chiefs, not saying it's going to be the Bills. You just always have to acknowledge that sometimes when you get there, it's your only shot. And we love in the NFL, if you have a young quarterback, to say, oh, it's the first of many, right? He's always going to have a chance to get back there. Not necessarily. I mean, Aaron Rodgers won 1 Super Bowl, as great as he is. As great as the numbers are. Drew Brees won 1 Super Bowl. As great as he is, that's all he was able to get to. Joe Burrow getting to the Super Bowl and losing to the Rams, how many people the next day said, I'm taking him next year? No way. They haven't even made the postseason, or excuse me, they made it once since then. They lost in the AFC Championship game. I think I misspoke earlier in Shane's show. It's really hard to do. It's really, really hard to just constantly get back to the Super Bowl. I know the Chiefs have done it, but they just seem like the outlier in this. So for Seattle to get it done with Sam Darnold, now the target's on their back going the next year. Ask the Eagles how that went for them. They were great all season long in the regular season until they weren't, and then they get bounced early on in the postseason. To have that target on your back, both these teams are now going to have it, and I would probably take the field for who's in the next Super Bowl, and it's probably not going to be either one of these guys.
And I would like to say that I do kind of notice a trend here, which with each of the last 4 Super Bowl champions, Seahawks, Eagles, and then the Chiefs twice, they all had multiple first-round picks in the last 3 seasons. The Chiefs doing it on the Karlaftis and Trent McDuffie draft. The Eagles getting Jalen Carter and Nolan Smith, who was okay for him, but didn't really make an impact. And the Seahawks with Witherspoon and Smith and Njigba in the same draft. I think that might be a trend going forward. The Rams this season have 2 first-round picks, and the Browns have 2 first-round picks. So cost-controlled elite players. That's how you win in the NFL. When we return, we'll head back to college basketball. K-State hoops, inventing new ways to lose. We'll talk about it next on The Pulse.
Wichita's sports leader. ESPN Wichita 92.3 FM. KKGQ Newton.
Nobody protects you from mayhem like Allstate. On that heavy shelf you hung yesterday. Turns out you didn't use enough anchors. Wait, you didn't use any anchors? Now you've got an open floor plan. Trendy. And if you have the wrong home insurance, you could need a wall of money to fix this. So get home insurance with Allstate and be better protected from mayhem, like me.
Based on coverage and limits selected, subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Allstate Vehicle and Property Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Research shows listeners prefer a personalized experience. So to help you remember, Liberty Mutual customizes your home insurance. We personalized this ad for Amber, who really misses boy bands from the 90s.
Hey girl, I'm the cute one, here to tell you how Liberty Mutual customizes your home insurance so you only pay for what you need.
I'm the heartthrob. The only thing I love more than you is saving. And I'm the other boy in the band everyone forgot about.
Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Nachos! Yeah, your nachos!
Hey, I'll take some.
Great. And some Frank's Red Hot.
Oh, nah, I'm good.
Oh, you're just going to eat these dry, plain, boring nachos with no Franks. Oh, seriously? Frank it up. Frank it up. Come on, lady. Frank it up. Frank it up. Frank it up. Yeah! Yeah, this guy finally gets it. Hey, look, we're on the Jumbotron.
It's the perfect blend of flavor and heat. Frank's Red Hot. I put that on everything.
The future will be amazing, and that's all well and good. But what about today? You can feel the rush of a 400 horsepower Nissan Z, or climb to new heights in the all-terrain Nissan Frontier. Light up the road in the all-electric Nissan Aria that feels like a sci-fi dream come true. The future will be great, but today is made for thrill. All you have to do is get in a Nissan and drive. 2023 Aria and Z not yet available for purchase. Expected availability is this spring for 2023 Z and this fall for 2023 Aria.
Hi, I'm Martha Stewart, and I have a question for you. You know that unwelcome guest everyone wishes would just leave already? That's COVID-19. That's why I got an updated booster designed to help protect against recent Omicron variants.
Wichita's sports leader. ESPN Wichita 92.3 FM.
Sponsored by
KKGQ
and Biontech.
This is Sports Center.
I'm Christine Lisi. Following the arrest of Falcons rookie James Pierce Jr. on 5 felony charges after allegedly crashing his vehicle into one driven by his former girlfriend, WNBA player Rickea Jackson, over the weekend, the NFL says it will review the matter under the personal conduct policy. Former Dolphins and Jets coach Adam Gase joining the Chargers as an assistant coach with a passing game focus. NBA Thunder forward Jalen Williams out the last 10 games with a hamstring strain, set to return tonight against the Lakers. Amidst a slew of injuries to key players, the return of a prime offensive creator and lockdown defender. Great news for OKC. ESPN NBA reporter Tim McMahon.
Badly needed a boost of ball handling, of playmaking for the Thunder, and a chance for him to get back on the court. Been a frustrating season for him. Missed the first month and a half or so coming off the offseason surgery on his shooting wrist. Still really trying to find his form, and has a chance to do that here in the last week before the All-Star break.
LA without Luka Doncic, a second straight game tonight because of a strained hamstring.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Candy, coming up Tuesday. The Seahawks are the champs, but will they be in the top spot of my top 5 Super Bowl contenders heading into next season? It's on Sportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
It's just a public service announcement sponsored by Just Blaze and the good folks at Rockefeller Records.
Fellow Americans, it is with the utmost pride and sincerity that I present this recording as a living testament and recollection of history in the making during our generation.
Allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is Ho.
Welcome back. It's our number 2 of the Pulse here on Wichita's Sports Leader, ESPN Wichita 92.3 FM, and streaming on the ESPN Wichita app. I'm Chance Lebo, filling in for Pat for today. Jack Johnson, producer and contributor, standing by and running the ones and twos today. If you would like to listen to today's show, be sure to tell your smart speaker to play KKGQ. Turn your radio dial to 92.3 FM. Check us out on ESPNWichita.com or download the ESPN Wichita app, and you can watch us on the YouTube page, ESPN Wichita on YouTube and on social media. We want to hear your thoughts. We want to hear your opinions. Text us, 316-247-0923. Getting some people talking about the Raiders, getting some people talking about the Super Bowl, happy that the Seahawks won. Be sure to text us if you got thoughts on anything. 316-247-0923. That is the text line. Hour number 1, we talked KU hoops. We talked and set the scene for tonight's game against Arizona. We also previewed Wichita State's big week while also recapping the Tulane game. We talked about the Super Bowl just a little bit, with it being a fairly unentertaining game. There wasn't much to really dive too deep in on, but we made sure we gave it its flowers for what it was. If you missed any of that or are going to miss any of the show, if you got a 3:30 meeting or something, or just happen to miss any of the show, be sure to check out the podcast page, espnwichita.com/podcast. That's where you can find us after the fact. You can go back and scroll through any of this show, Shane's show, any of our Kansas City affiliated shows. You can check those out on the podcast page, or later tonight, or I guess no, not later tonight. We don't have overtime tonight. So be sure to check us out on the podcast page, or sometimes we will have overtime from 6 o'clock to 7 o'clock, but not tonight because we have KU hoops coming up this evening. Let's talk K-State. It feels like whenever I come on this show and fill in for Pat, there's another embarrassing K-State loss to talk about. But this one, it's different than the rest of them because it was a game that K-State was not expected to win. K-State actually played pretty heroically compared to what they were expected to do. K-State entered the game as a 9.5-point underdog on the road at TCU. TCU's coming off of a 26-point loss at Colorado. And you could probably say that Colorado is one of the bottom 5 teams in the Big 12, maybe the bottom 7, 8 teams in the Big 12. And TCU got their doors blown off in Boulder on Sunday of last week. And then they come in to a home game against K-State looking for a reset. TCU probably not really anywhere on the bubble. They're probably playing more so for an NIT bid more than anything else. But nevertheless, TCU comes in and they are looking to at least have a more respectable showing. They come in at 13-9 and a 9.5-point favorite. K-State gets leaked out beforehand that K-State has some illnesses. They're battling the flu. PJ Haggerty is questionable. Kamari McGriff is questionable. He's returning. Doreen Buka playing with the flu. So K-State had all of the excuses they could have needed before the game to get their doors blown off at TCU. But they actually played fairly well. They opened the game on a hot streak. Kareem Biggums, a.k.a. Marcus Johnson, hit 3 3-pointers to take a 19-6 lead with 14-12 to play in the first half. It really looked like TCU at this point had quit on Jamie Dixon. They didn't look like they wanted to be out there. K-State would take a 17-point lead. Johnson would hit his 4th 3-pointer of the first half, 18-point lead after a pair of Haggerty buckets in the first half. And then TCU just would somehow, some way find their hope, find a reason to play. K-State would have TCU would take an 18-4 run over the final 5 minutes, making it a 4-point game heading into the locker room. Here are the final possessions for K-State after a 42-24 lead. C.J. Jones turnover, Marcus Jones turnover, David Castillo turnover, Haggerty miss, Castillo miss, Nate Johnson miss, Taj Manning with a dunk, Haggerty turnover, C.J. Jones turnover, Taj Manning with a miss, and David Castillo would hit 2 free throws. K-State in the final 5 minutes of action had 6 turnovers in the first half as they saw an 18-point lead get to 4 heading into the locker room. TCU would get the lead down to 3 with 14:51 to play before PJ Haggerty would then go on an 8-0 run by himself. He would hit 4 straight shots, and all of them with different ranges of difficulty. He had a nice little in and out move, a floater off the window, would get a bucket on a floater from the baseline to score it. And that would build K-State's lead to 64-53. And I really thought that K-State at that point, when Haggerty went on that run, it felt like, remember, PJ Haggerty was at TCU. He redshirted as a true freshman at TCU. So you could kind of bill this as a PJ Haggerty revenge game. And really, he didn't do much else after that. The teams would stay within a 10-point lead. TCU wouldn't get to within a possession until 2:32 left to play. They would go on a 9-2 run to make it 80-77. Kamari McGriff would then get an alley-oop from Nate Johnson with a minute and a half to play to make it 82-77. After that, a foul on Kamari McGriff would lead to a pair of free throws for Xavier Edmonds to make it 82-79. PJ Haggerty would be called for a travel on the next possession, giving TCU the ball back. Xavier Edmonds would then score on an alley-oop to make it 82-81 with 35 seconds left to play. K-State would get it past half court. They'd call a timeout. Nate Johnson would then dribble the ball off of his leg and turn it back over to TCU with 19 seconds left to play. Kamari McGriff doing what he does best. He would foul Edmonds again, another pair of free throws. That would give TCU an 83-82 lead. After the second free throw, TCU would call a timeout to drop their press. K-State had a timeout left in their back pocket. TCU was not in the bonus yet. They had just 5 fouls, so a foul would not lead to free throws. TCU's strategy was likely to foul before K-State could cross half court, just to make sure they could not get into their initial play out of the timeout. Instead, they have PJ Haggerty inbound it, and they inbounds it to Kamari McGriff, and they draw up a handoff play, and they inbound it way too close to the sideline. TCU traps it. Haggerty tries to get fouled because, well, let's just be honest. What does PJ Haggerty like to do more than anything on the court in basketball? He likes to shoot free throws. And so he's trying to draw a foul, not knowing that TCU has just 5 fouls in the period. So nevertheless, it wouldn't have ended up in free throws. They would have had to inbound it from the side out. And he dribbles it off his leg, and it goes out of bounds. With 2 seconds left, TCU would get fouled. They head back to the line. They go 1 for 2. Nate Johnson doesn't even get a shot up off a bad outlet pass from Kamari McGriff. K-State loses, blowing an 18-point first-half lead. Shane said it, 88% win percentage chance in the first half with an 18-point lead over a TCU team that, if you watched any of that game, and I'm not sure why many of you did, if you did, but if you watched any of that game, you could have told me that TCU has quit. They just did not give a rat's behind to be in that game. They had lost 6 of their last 8. They got their doors blown off in Boulder a week ago, and it really just didn't look like they were all that motivated to play in front of a I'm going to go to the game notes because I'm actually curious to see what the attendance was, because it was not a packed gym. I can tell you that much. It was not like it was a hostile road environment. I remember last year Jerome Tang tried to sell you that bill of goods, that it was a super tough road environment when they lost at TCU in embarrassing fashion. But looking at the box score from TCU, looking for attendance, 5,176. That's it. I mean, Wichita State draws more for, nobody teams in the American. And it's not disrespectful to Wichita State. That's just saying that TCU drew a subpar AAC crowd, and K-State couldn't survive a team that looked like it wanted to quit. TCU finished the game on a 7-0 run. K-State did not get a shot or free throws in the final minute 30 of action. And that is not the worst part. In the final 5.5 minutes, here are the possessions from K-State. Turnover, 3-point miss, 2-pointer good, free throw miss, 2-point miss, 2-point miss, 3-point miss, dunk, turnover. PJ Haggerty, he got his 30 points, 14 of 24 from the field, had just 1 assist, went to the free throw line 1 time, did not get it. Marcus Johnson, Kareem Biggums, 15 points, 5 of 6 from 3, 3 points, 3 assists, 4 fouls because literally he cannot defend. It as entertaining as it is to see a what some would call the average American out there playing college basketball at the Division I level, as entertaining and as funny as it is, the reality is that he was paid to play basketball for Kansas State University, and he cannot defend worth a lick. And I mean, give credit where it's due. I mean, he had an excellent game. Shooters shoot. He was 0 for 9 in Big 12 play from the field entering the game and shot it like he was shooting 43% from the floor or from three and shot it pretty well. Nate Johnson, I mean, his stat line was really good, but plus minus wise, he was the worst on the team at -10. Nate Johnson, 13 points, 11 assists, 6 steals, 4 rebounds. Like, that's a really good performance, but he was awful defensively at times. I mean, the steals are great, but he was getting blown by a couple times. K-State had 4 turnovers in the final 2 minutes. They had 8 turnovers in the first 38 minutes. TCU out-rebounded K-State 41-25. TCU went to the free throw line 36 times compared to just 8 for K-State. And K-State is 1-9 in Big 12 play. And people on the text line asking, end of the game was awful. To be honest, I don't even know when the Cats are playing next. Well, they play Wednesday against Cincinnati on CBS Sports Network. It's the one game that Ken Pom says they're going to be favored in heading into the remainder of the season. They say they're going to be favored against West Virginia and against they're going to be favored against West Virginia and against, oh man, who's the other team that I'm forgetting? Cincinnati. And then somebody else asking, at this point, it's beyond Greek tragedy and man happiness. When does the cut cost from Tang crossover, the cost, the overall program? I mean, it's a good question to ask. Apparently, there are conversations behind closed doors that are happening. There's obviously a separation from the program with its fan base. The texter asking, I don't even know when they play it next on Wednesday. They play Wednesday. They play at I have it on my calendar as a TBD, but ESPN has them as I believe it's an 8:00 Central game. I mean, I don't think, and the thing with Manhattan is it's not like it's a metro or a suburb of a big city like Lawrence is for Kansas City. An 8:00 tip on a Monday night is great news because, a lot of people from Kansas City are going to the game in Lawrence. It's a 40-minute drive from certain places in Kansas City. Manhattan's an hour and a half at least from pretty much every hub in the state. And it's getting really hard to justify a late bedtime for your kids, probably getting home at midnight to watch Kansas State men's basketball. I think it's going to be an awful crowd when they play on Wednesday. I'd be curious to see if Wichita State outdraws them when they play on Wednesday against South Florida. I don't imagine they would because the Shockers at least have a pulse. But, I mean, it's not even the lowest point of the weekend for K-State. A grad assistant was arrested this morning for domestic violence. I mean, I don't even know at what point Jerome Tang has lost the reins on the program and his chariot is sailing towards a canyon because at this point, it's becoming, okay, it's not if you fire him, it's like, do you let him finish the season? Because, folks, the buyout doesn't drop until, I believe, it's April 1st. And they're not going to fire him after April 1st. They'll be way behind the 8 ball. You fire the coach right after the season. And so it's becoming, do you put Jerome Tang on, a paid leave or unpaid leave of absence and just have somebody else finish the season because he's lost control of the program. The Moby Ike Garuke situation is its own thing. You have a grad assistant being arrested for domestic violence. At some point, it becomes a stain on the university, and Jerome Tang has lost control of the program, and you have to separate him from the program because this team, they played well. It is unfortunate that they lost on Saturday because I thought they played pretty well given the circumstances. Jerome Tang in his press conference said at one point we thought we were going to have to play with 5 players and potentially bring a walk-on onto the team, add a walk-on, which would have been entertaining in its own right. But at what point do you just cut ties and say enough is enough? Like, I watched his post-game presser, and you would have thought Shane Gillis was asking him questions with the cackle he had after every single question was asked. I mean, it's embarrassing to the university. They're 15th out of 16 teams in the Big 12. This is likely going to end up with the worst conference record in the program's history. at least since they were in the Big Eight. And I just don't know at what point push comes to shove and you just have to say, man, we got to bite the bullet. We'll write the check and let's not let this get any uglier than it has to be. Because, I mean, the names that are being floated out by a certain burner on the Twitter and Discord are not pretty. And they're a former Wichita State assistant coach that I'm not sure many people want back in Manhattan or want in Manhattan in the first place. Like, I'm saying if they fire Jerome Tang without cause and without a different settled buyout, $18 million is a lot of bleeping money that you are not going to be able to invest in the next head coach of the university. And it's not going to be a break the bank hire. It's not going to be pretty. And I don't know. I'm curious to see what this looks like the rest of the way. Wednesday against Cincinnati, guarantee it's not going to be a pretty game. Cincinnati, they've got their own issues. I mean, Wes Miller is on the hot seat. I don't know what to say. I mean, at this point, I'm beating a dead horse. Jack, it was on at the same time as the KU game, so I'm not sure if you got any eyes on it. I know you were at a bar, but at what point did it become kind of comical watching K-State flounder an 18-point first half lead and invent new ways to lose against a team that have relatively, for all intents and purposes, TCU had quit?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I would use comical, but jaw-dropping for sure. And we've watched this K-State team play all year long. They're not a good basketball team. It's also blowing an 18-point lead to a team that's not very good either.
Mm-hmm.
If they would have blown an 18-point lead to Houston or to Iowa State,
we'd be in here singing the praise if they had an 18-point lead at any point against Houston. Absolutely.
It's not the case.
Mm-hmm.
And what's so difficult for the higher-ups at the K-State athletic department to deal with is that, it is a lot of money here. And the way you got to look at it is, okay, if it gets really bad and there's, assistant coaches or grad assistants being fired or arrested, that could be eventually leading to a firing, and you have all the losing going on in the court, players are getting in trouble, you got all that going on, then yeah, there is the firing with cause, or maybe you can get out of that buyout. I don't know if it gets to that point, but the decision has to be made by the end of this year for sure. Because if you fire him, you're not going to have the money left over to go get a program changer, if you will.
Yeah.
It would likely be a situation where you fire him and then you kind of get that stopgap guy where you're hoping that, hey, you bring in someone who maybe you catch lightning in a bottle and you hire a guy who's not very expensive, but then he does turn around your program. But the likelihood is that doesn't happen. And then down the road, assuming you can find some footing and stability with the program, you can go get that big fish out there. But I know a lot of K-State fans, knowing one myself, that wants Brad Underwood. And if you fire Jerome Tang, you can't afford to go get Brad Underwood. I mean, so that's the trouble that you have. And then if you hang on to Jerome Tang because you don't want to pay the buyout, you still have Jerome Tang coaching your basketball team.
Mm-hmm.
And whereas 3 to 4 years ago, that was seen as a gem. He was the coach of the year. He had taken K-State to the Elite Eight. Anybody that thought Jerome Tang would be where he is now would have been called crazy back then because there were no signs that were pointing to this could happen. Everybody thought they have the Elite Eight run. Now he's going to have expensive rosters. They're only going to get better from this point, and they're going to be a top contender in the Big 12. But clearly, they haven't assembled the right guys, and K-State fans have every right to be so unbelievably frustrated with what's being said in the postgame.
Mm-hmm.
And not necessarily the excuses, but almost treating it like you're making light of it. And that's not fair to people that spend their hard-earned money to still continue supporting this team, watching this team, going to the games, and to sit there and kind of just ho-hum blowing a 20-point lead on the road in front of no environment whatsoever.
I would have come in on my hair on fire. I would have been looking for a reporter to just rip their head off. I mean, I cannot believe that he was in that. I mean, I understand being happy about the fight your team put up, but that's what you tell the team in the locker room. I would have been ready to rip a reporter's head off.
Yeah, I mean, and that's just where maybe at this point there's just an understanding of it ain't this year, guys. Like we're not a good team. It's not going to get better.
Yeah.
It's about making sure they show up and still have pride. And we talked about that on Friday of what I wanted to see from this K-State team was a sense of pride. I didn't need to go out there and give out these this game plan and, oh, they got to do this, and that. I really was curious what version of K-State you were going to see after losing by nearly 40 to Iowa State at home.
Mm-hmm.
And so against TCU, they started off the game incredibly well. They were motivated. They were shooting the ball well. They were defending pretty well. And then it's just that run right before halftime. I mean, that's inexcusable. To be leading by nearly 20 points and then you go into the break leading by 4, inexcusable. Can't happen. And then the second half, there's 3 to 4 minutes to go and you got a double-digit lead.
Yeah.
You can't blow that game, even if there's one person in the crowd or there's 8,000. It doesn't matter. You have to find ways to close that game out. And I don't know what the players are thinking right now. I mean, is it a matter of, are they turning on each other? I'm not seeing that. It seems like it's a group that does enjoy being around each other. But I'll ask you this, Chance. Does it almost make it worse that you can't really find the issue? These are talented guys, or at least some of them are talented, and they're still losing. Like last year, you could go, all right, there is a clear divide within this team that they just don't mesh that well together. There's no chemistry. I kind of see chemistry with this team, and they still can score at times at a high rate, yet the wins aren't there. They're barreling toward what is going to come close to a 20-loss season. And to me, if I was to make a prediction today, if they lose 20 games this year, I'm not sure that Gene Taylor in the athletic department could really convince fans they're trying to do the right thing and keeping Jerome Tang around.
Agreed.
You kind of have to pay the buyout. If he loses 20-plus games and they finish last or second to last next to Utah in the Big 12, with the money that this team was worth, I just don't know how you can convince fans you're doing the right thing by bringing him back for another year.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. I mean, I just cannot see this team being much more successful than they already are. And, you brought up, like, how bought in are they? Man, I remember getting the flu a lot when my team used to suck in high school. It really sucks going to practice and doing the hard thing. I might get a fever. You might have to check me for a flu, and I'm not saying that that's happening, but, I mean, it's the reality of the situation. Yeah, these guys, they get paid to show up, and they might be taking some PTO right now. And I'm just enamored with how they finished the season, because every game it's like a bad car crash. I was foaming at the mouth, ready for that post game presser, and it was just awful in ways that are undescribable. But to lighten things up, to talk about a team that is actually putting together some great effort, we talked to Dean Jaderson this morning, head coach of the Friends women's basketball team. We'll hear from him when we return here on The Pulse on ESPN Wichita, 92.3 FM.
The heartbeat of
All right,
Wichita
I got it from here.
sports fans. The Pulse on ESPN Wichita 92.3 FM.
When it comes to money, what matters most to you? It's not an easy question because your answer can change at a moment's notice. At Commerce Bank, we have 160 years of helping people ask themselves that question and providing financial solutions that are tailored to your ever-changing wants and needs. From setting short-term goals to planning for your future, if it matters to you, it matters to us. And together, we'll find the answers that matter. Commerce Bank. Challenge accepted. Member FDIC.
Nachos! Yeah, your nachos!
Hey, I'll take some.
Great. And some Frank's Red Hot.
Oh, nah, I'm good.
Oh, you're just going to eat these dry, plain, boring nachos with no Franks. Seriously? Frank it up. Frank it up. Come on, lady. Frank it up. Frank it up. Frank it up. Yeah! Yeah, this guy finally gets it. Hey, look, we're on the Jumbotron.
It's the perfect blend of flavor and heat. Frank's Red Hot. I put that on everything.
Research shows listeners prefer a personalized experience. So to help you remember, Liberty Mutual customizes your home insurance. We personalized this ad for Amber, who really misses boy bands from the 90s.
Hey girl, I'm the cute one, here to tell you how Liberty Mutual customizes your home insurance so you only pay for what you need.
I'm the heartthrob. The only thing I love more than you is saving. And I'm the other boy in the band everyone forgot about.
Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Oh, I can't believe tax season is here already. But look at all this info I have to enter.
Phil's small accounting firm is growing in numbers.
Why didn't I take that typing class in high school?
A data entry specialist could really help him in a crunch.
I got blisters on my fingers.
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Today on Hey Culligan Smart Home, Smarter Water Softener. Here's Kevin.
Hey Culligan, can a smart water softener lift those heavy salt bags for me?
Kevin, it can.
Wait, it can?
Yep, the smart high-efficiency water softener from Culligan can alert your dealer when the salt needs to be replaced, and they'll do it for you, so your water stays soft and you stay away from lifting the bags.
I mean, I could lift them if I wanted.
No judgment here, Kevin. We're happy to do it, and we're already on the way. Let us help you out with a free in-home water test with the local Culligan water expert at Culligan.com.
Nobody protects you from mayhem like Allstate. On that heavy shelf you hung yesterday. Turns out you didn't use enough anchors. Wait, you didn't use any anchors? Now you've got an open floor plan. Trendy. And if you have the wrong home insurance, you could need a wall of money to fix this. So get home insurance with Allstate and be better protected from mayhem, like me.
Based on coverage and limits selected, subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Allstate Vehicle and Property Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Welcome back to the Pulse here on Wichita Sports Leader, ESPN Wichita 92.3 FM. I'm Chance Lebo filling in for Pat today, and we are pleased to be joined now by the head coach of the Friends women's basketball team. Dean Jaderston joins us now on the show, coming off of a 1-1 week the last week, but it's been a really fun couple of weeks for you, Dean. Just kind of talk about what's been going into what's been a really fun 2-week stretch for you guys.
When you get into this time of the season, it just seems like you play a game and immediately you're into the next one. And a couple of weeks ago, we had that snowstorm. So 5 games in 2 weeks and really, really good conference opponents during that time. So it's one of those that's a little bit of a blur, but some amazing wins in that stretch. And we're down one of our key players. And so some other kids had to step up in some big ways. And it was really fun to see them seize the moment and pick up a couple big road wins and three of the 4 games come down to the last possession of the game. So lot of fun, and we're excited to see where these last 2 weeks take us.
Yeah, and the last time we talked to you, you guys were getting ready for a 3-game week. You guys sweep that entire week, including 2 wins in the last seconds, the waning seconds of the game. But I want to talk more about just the overall psyche of the team, because it kind of felt like the season was kind of getting out of hand there a little bit heading into those 3 games. And you guys answered with 3 big wins, and they took a lot of confidence from you guys to win those games. Kind of talk about what you saw, the resiliency from your group, those wins.
Yeah, we had a 12-game win streak snapped, and it was during a time when we had one kid go down and then another kid go down and trying to figure out how we're going to play in those moments. And it was really one of those gut check times for the team. Who are we going to be? How are we going to come back and respond? And I thought the Kansas Wesleyan game was a great game. We had a lead. They came back. They took a lead. We came back, came down. Lauren MacGyver hit a huge shot with 0.4 on the clock and gives us the lead, a 2-point lead. And then we took away everything inside. They hit a 3, but to get it off in 0.4 seconds, it's got to be an awfully quick release and it gets waved off. So that was a huge win to start the week on Monday. At the one-day turnaround on Wednesday, we headed up to St. Mary, which is one of the most difficult places to play. And candidly, for 3.5 quarters, just really struggled offensively. They play a very intense brand of defense. They're very well coached by Coach Kelly, and we find ourselves down 17 with 7 minutes to go. And then probably one of the craziest 7 minutes I've ever seen in basketball. There were 52 points scored in 7 minutes.
Yeah.
They hit back-to-back logo 3s in that stretch. Like
on purpose or accident?
Yeah.
Was it
no, it's a girl pulling up with 20 seconds on the shot clock and drilling a 3 from the logo. And it was interesting. Every 3 they hit, we came back and answered with a 3 or a 3-point play in the very next possession.
Yeah.
So we got it. We tightened. We tied the game. They hit a huge corner 3 with, it was probably about 20, 30 seconds to go, maybe less. We come back, get an and one, or no, Reagan Bugai hits the three, tie it up. Get a stop, come down. She gets fouled, and it's one of those weird things. So she's just hit an and one, and she's just hit a three. So she's got all the confidence in the world, our best free throw shooter, and she misses both free throws.
Oh man.
And so 7 seconds to go. We've got a foul. We get a foul with 1.4 seconds on the clock. Their girl happens to miss one. So now it's a 2-point game. And we're down to 6 players. Normally we'd run a 3 in that position, but we don't even have the players that normally run our side out of bounds plays left on the game. So they stayed small. They thought we were going for 3, and we got into Abby and got I thought, a really fortunate call and get the and one.
Yeah.
Walk out of St. Mary with a win that I don't know how. So 35 points in 7 minutes, maybe a school record, especially on the road against a good team. So we get that, and so that's back-to-back wins where our team just showed a lot of resilience. It's kind of the bend don't break, and really performed well at crunch time. We got Avalon Saturday and just played a solid game. Nothing spectacular, but led. It was the first game, I think, this season we led from the first bucket to the end. You know, there was no, we're down the first point, we're down 7-8. It was just, you know, end to end. We played a real solid game. Then we go to Tabor, and again, Tabor's always tough at their place, and they guard well. We had a horrible first half, had 5 defensive rebounds in the first half. Just didn't play flat. And then came back, and in 7 minutes, took a 13-point deficit and turned it into a lead. And then Tabor responded. It was a really good college game, back and back, and ended up going into overtime. And overtime, we scored in every possession. So really proud of our team and just kind of the toughness they showed during that stretch. And I think it took its toll on us too. We're still playing without people, and we go on the road to Ottawa, and they're playing really well right now, and just couldn't get over the hump. We had a tie game in the third quarter, and then they went on a run. We couldn't answer. But 4-1 in that 2-week stretch, and the girls, I think, dug deep and figured out a way to win some really, really tough games. Now we got to hit that 4-game stretch before the end of the season and get some momentum going into the playoffs.
And you know, the real challenge is 3 of those last 4 being on the road. It makes sense that that Ottawa game happened. I mean, every single game going right down to the wire. It kind of feels like, you know, that saying where it's like, you know, don't let somebody beat you twice. Well, sometimes when you win all those close games, the wheels just kind of stop turning a little bit. And I feel like probably this 2-game, or not 2-game, but these 2 days before you guys play your next game, I feel like that's going to be important to rest a little bit.
It's huge. You know, Ray Garner gives us such a weapon offensively. You get about 8 to 10 free points in transition or off steals or offensive rebounds, and it gives you a cushion. When you don't have her, our matchups go very differently. And people who normally come off the bench are starting, and people who have to play, who normally play 8 minutes a game, now have to play 15 minutes a game, and you're playing some different combinations. And we've had to learn to make that work. And so we'll find out this week if we get her back. And if so, you don't just step back in after not playing for 2 weeks. It takes some time to get reps and get rhythm. And so I think this is probably one of the most important weeks of practice we've had all season. We're home for the next 3 games, which is nice. We don't have to travel, and getting those rhythms, giving those reps. We'll find out, and if Ray's back, that's great. And if not, we'll see who's going to fill that gap as we come down the stretch. So it's a fun time of the year. There's basketball happening everywhere all the time, and you can't feel sorry for yourself. You can't look back and rest on a win. You can't look back and dwell on a loss. You just got to get ready for the next one and keep playing.
Yeah, and this is a big 3-game stretch for you guys. But let's talk about the win against Tabor on Wednesday. Let's talk, because Tabor, while they're not having their usual season, it's still a hornet's nest. It's a tough place to play, and to have, you know, what happened in the first half happen, and then the second half, it was really the Abby Barr show as well as Lauren McIver making some big plays for you guys.
Tabor has played everybody extremely tough this semester. They've
Mhm.
either won every game or it's been a single-digit loss. I think they've got like 5 losses with 13 points total.
Mhm.
So you know you're going to be in for a fight. The way they play, you're not going to go on big runs.
Mhm.
They run their stuff, and so you've got to be patient. You can't get frustrated at the pace of the game. And I thought we did a really good job second half, pushing that pace
Mhm.
just enough to get them out of the rhythm. Like I said, the first 7 minutes of the second half, we looked like a completely different team and
Mhm.
had the energy we wanted. Abby Barr was phenomenal. I think she was 11 for 14 in that game, and they didn't have an answer for her in the second half. Lauren MacGyver starting to realize, as good a scorer as she is, she's even a better playmaker.
Mhm.
And when she's playmaking, she shoots the ball better.
Mhm.
So she's starting to get 4, 5, 6 assists a game. We're playing through her a lot more. And when we do that, she's getting shots now in rhythm. And when people have to help someplace else, so she's shooting the ball the best she has all season.
Mhm.
It's fun to see those pieces fall in play. And that's a dangerous kind of two-headed scoring
Mhm.
option for us. It's that third piece we're trying to find and figure out where that's going to come from.
And the tempo you guys run at, you guys high flying, you guys like to rip and run. I mean, you guys do a lot of high tempo offense stuff, and that kind of makes it feel like you guys are never out of the game. You guys can go on an 8-0 run in a 2-minute stretch and really get yourselves back into the game. Is that kind of the benefit that you guys see with the offense that you guys run?
I think it's more the defense. So what's happened a lot, we played at Columbia, and we're their only loss of the season. We again, it's this grinding game back and forth, but we're down, and we go on an 18-4 run at the end of the game to get that win on the road. We talk a lot about how do you put pressure on a team for 40 minutes.
Mhm.
And if you can keep the pressure, you're not gambling, you're not lunging, going for steals. There's just this constant pressure, and that wears on people. I think we tire some point guards out. KK Peeler is phenomenal at putting some on-ball pressure on, and she can run forever. When we get good pressure, it shows up in the third and fourth quarter, especially. And I think that's what's been happening in some of these games. The problem is that's a lot of work. And I thought maybe at Ottawa we were a little tired. And again, it's some people playing in roles that maybe haven't all the time this season. And our depth was a little bit suspect, I thought. So we'll try to address that this week. But the pressure piece, when kids buy in, it's going, we talk all the time, it's going to happen in that third or fourth quarter, and you'll see that moment where the other team just doesn't have that extra step. And that's what we're always trying to do.
And you guys face off with Sterling and McPherson this week, and Sterling's always a tough out, one of the toughest teams in the conference. I believe you guys have played Sterling already this season. Kind of talk about the preparation going into Wednesday's game.
Yeah, Sterling got off to a really hot start this season, played well. They had a whole bunch of home non-conference games and built a lot of conference with their new coach. Lately, they're just having a tough time getting over the top. Again, playing everybody tough. They had a conference schedule that put a bunch of really hard games right in a row, and they're right in the middle of that stretch right now. So they're dangerous. The Briar kid's playing as well as she ever has. Vogel is good an athlete as there is in the conference, and she and Barr kind of neutralize each other sometimes in terms of just the points they create. So we've got to guard. We've got to make their fourth and fifth scoring options have to take a lot of shots, and we got to make some shots at home. So it's going to be interesting to see kind of where they're at, coming off a couple tough losses, and like every game this time of the season feels like a tournament game. Everything's on the line for seeding and for national tournament and to get into the tournament or where you're going to be. So it's going to feel like the postseason in the Garvey Center.
talking to head coach Dean Jaderson here on the Pulse. Before we kind of wrap things up, the development team, it's a really cool thing in NAIA and KCAC especially, and a lot of the girls on the team right now that have stepped into larger roles were players on the development team. Kind of talk about some of the girls that you've seen make strides, getting legitimate game action on somewhat of a nightly basis.
Yeah. One of the things we want to do is just give kids a chance to play college basketball and be part of a team and part of a family. And our development team has been a great part of our program. They compete, they push us in practice. We talk a lot how any success we have at the varsity level is only due to every person in the program. If our weakest player, and every team has a weakest player, if they're still not pushing somebody in practice, we're not going to become as good as we can be. And you're in great teams, your best player may be the best player in the conference.
Yeah.
Your 20th player still has to be the best 20th player in the conference. And they've got to not just accept their role, but they've got to want to excel in that role. And so practices have to be competitive. They have to push. But then they get game experience. And you can't create, no matter how hard you want to scrimmage, no matter what you do, there's something that happens. There's pressure that happens when you put on a uniform, turn on the scoreboard, and referees are there. And our kids get 25 games of experience. And so on a given night, instead of playing 3 backup minutes in a varsity game, they're going to play 25 minutes, and then they're going to play 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And so it's how we build our program. I think it's especially important in how you build your bigs. Most bigs come into college, just high school coaches have had them rim running and rebounding, but not particularly skill developed because they were still growing into their bodies and getting and so our bigs, I feel Grace Paul has come in 2 years. She will give us some really key minutes next year, I think. We've had some other kids that I think just they would not have developed the way they have without that experience.
Yeah.
And now, frankly, this week, once we know what happens with Ray, some of those kids may have to step into a bigger role coming down the stretch.
Yeah.
And so we'll see what happens there, but we love those kids, and they make our program what it is.
Yeah. Well, Dean, thanks so much for your time. Best of luck. 2 home games this week, 3 home games in the next 10 days. Kind of talk about what you guys have going on. If there's any way to come out and watch the games for people who might be wanting to watch.
Yeah. Wednesday we're home. It's against Sterling. Saturday we're home against McPherson at 3:00. The Wednesday game's at 6. Saturday is senior day, so it's a chance to recognize our seniors. So if you want to catch those kids one more time, the following Wednesday we're also at home at 6 against Southwestern, and then a game that looms really large for a lot of reasons. We go to Bethany for the last game of the season, and that game's going to probably have as much impact on the final tournament seeding as any game this year. So get on a good run playing here at home and then launch into that, and all of a sudden we're in the KCAC tournament.
Yeah. Well, Dean, thanks so much for your time. Best of luck this week.
Thank you.
This is The Pulse on Wichita's new sports leader, ESPN Wichita 92.3 FM.
For over 55 years and 2 generations, the Southwestern Remodeling Professionals have been providing homeowners in the Wichita area with a truly unique luxury remodeling experience. From the initial consultation through project design and production, our team provides concierge-style service with a true focus on the best quality products and professional installation. Are you ready to experience something truly different? Give us a call today at 263-1239 or visit southwesternremodeling.com.
Hi, I'm Martha Stewart, and I have a question for you. You know that unwelcome guest everyone wishes would just leave already? That's COVID-19. That's why I got an updated booster designed to help protect against recent Omicron variants. Got it? Check eligibility and schedule your updated COVID booster at vaccines.gov. Sponsored by Pfizer and BioNTech.
Progressive presents Adjusting to the Suburbs. You just bought a home in the suburbs, but no one told you about all the birds, specifically this one, who seems to be calling out Roy. Roy. But who exactly is Roy? And why doesn't he ever respond? Maybe Roy is just bird speak for save with Progressive by bundling your home and auto. I guess until Roy answers, we'll never know. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company coverage provided in service by affiliates and third-party insurers.
Today on Hey Culligan's Smart Home, Smarter Water Softener. Here's Kevin.
Hey, Culligan, get a smart water softener lift those heavy salt bags for me?
Kevin, it can.
Wait, it can?
Yep, the smart high-efficiency water softener from Culligan can alert your dealer when the salt needs to be replaced, and they'll do it for you, so your water stays soft and you stay away from lifting the bags.
I mean, I could lift them if I wanted.
No judgment here, Kevin. We're happy to do it, and we're already on the way. Let us help you out with a free in-home water test with the local Culligan water expert at Culligan.com.
Hi, I'm Martha Stewart, and I have a question for you. You know that unwelcome guest everyone wishes would just leave already? That's COVID-19. That's why I got an updated booster designed to help protect against recent Omicron variants. Got it? Check eligibility and schedule your updated COVID booster at vaccines.gov. Sponsored by Pfizer and BioNTech.
And we are all tied up in the bottom of the ninth. Bases loaded. Electric in here. Electric. It all comes down to this pitch. You throw the fastball here. But it looks like Brock is walking off the field and is leaving the stadium. What is going on here?
I'm getting word that he left to get a taco.
When you need a taco, you need a taco. Introducing the new Cantina Crispy Melt Taco, only from Taco Bell. For participating U.S. locations for a limited time only.
Welcome back to the Pulse here on Wichita Sports Leader, ESPN Wichita 92.3 FM. Chance Lebo here with you, wrapping up a Monday edition of the Pulse. And when we do that, we have a Mount Rushmore Monday presented by Red Axe Shredding. Protect your playbook and your business with Red Axe Shredding. From paper to hard drives, they securely destroy it all. From home offices to large businesses, Red Axe offers secure on-site and off-site shredding you can trust. Fast and affordable and 100% confidential. Call Red Axe Shredding today at 316-869-2215 or visit redaxe.co. That is REDAX.co. Trust the pros. Shred with Red Axe. Jack Johnson, welcome you in back to the show. Let's talk Mount Rushmore Monday. What is our category for today? Last week it was rivals that are not really rivals. What do we have this week?
All right, this one will be a little bit easier to do, but the catch is we cannot pick our favorite team here. So I can't pick Allen Fieldhouse. You can't pick Bramlage Coliseum. But after what we saw in the Dean Dome on Saturday night, what the atmosphere is supposed to be like tonight in Lawrence, give me your Mount Rushmore Monday for venues in college basketball.
I was shocked. I can't remember when it was that I was watching. It was the first Kentucky game that I really watched. I think they were playing Alabama or something a couple years ago. And I was shocked at how big Rupp Arena is. 10,000 lower, 10,000 upper, 20,000 in total. I believe that's larger than Allen, which is 15. So it's huge. I would say Rupp Arena, it feels more like an NBA arena, which obviously with Kentucky makes sense, but I'll have to go with Rupp Arena. I feel like that is that's one of the, I think it's the largest in college basketball, and it is loud when it's on. So when it's not a country club crowd, let me go Rupp Arena.
My number one on this list, and not being able to pick Allen Fieldhouse, would be the Breslin Center in East Lansing for Michigan State. Seen KU play there a couple of times. That place is just on fire when Michigan State gets into one of those runs. That happened, too, on Saturday night. Phenomenal game between the Spartans and Illinois. That place is incredibly underrated. Michigan State went through a couple of years in the mid-2010s, I think, where they weren't as relevant. More so, I would say the late 2010s, now that I think about it. Now they're considered to be a top 10 team yet again, which means the Breslin Center is always one of the best atmospheres in college basketball.
I'm going to go, I think it's New Mexico. Is that the one where it's got the big tunnel?
The pit.
Yeah, the pit. I'm going to go with New Mexico. Their arena, it's awesome. Just the inside, it really does feel like a pit. I'm going to go University of New Mexico. Their arena, they do a great job of filling it out.
My number 2 here, and this is the largest venue, I believe, in college basketball, unless I'm missing it. And they have not been relevant for a long, long time. But in the heyday of Syracuse basketball, the Carrier Dome was an awesome place to watch games, whether it be Syracuse versus Duke. I mean, of course, them being in the ACC and then the Big East, back in the day. There were some great matchups that I remember every single year. It pains me to say that as a KU fan, though. I was rather young when they lost to Carmelo and the Cuse in the 2003 Final Four. But the Carrier Dome, when it's packed, I mean, as I said, I'm pretty sure there's no larger venue in college basketball.
It's the biggest by 12,000.
Stadium.
Yeah, exactly.
You cut it in half, and it's their basketball arena.
Yeah. I'm going to go with BYU, their arena, especially over the last couple of years. It feels like it really gets on fire. I don't know what it is. There's something in the air up there in Provo because the football stadium is for a medium-sized school, a P4 school. It's pretty crazy what kind of goes on there. But I will go BYU. I think that theirs is one of the best in the country, and definitely not an easy place to play. And K-State, I don't think K-State goes up there this year, but I just think Provo in general. I think when mapping out like Big 12 schools, I feel like I'd really want to go to Provo. I feel like that's kind of a cool Big 12 city. Unfortunately, can't drink there, but I feel like Provo would be really fun.
This next one is not so much about the environment, but the look of it. I think Assembly Hall for Indiana. That one is cool to look at on TV. It looks so old and historic. Reminds me a little bit of Hinkle Fieldhouse with Butler. I don't know if I would pick Butler in my top 4 here. But when Indiana is really good, there's a lot of memorable games I remember watching when Assembly Hall was just absolutely packed. I know KU played there 2 years ago, and that was a great environment, a great non-con Saturday game for Kansas. So I'll put Assembly Hall as my number 3.
That's a good one. Man, there's so many good ones. I'll go with the Dean Dome. I'll go with Carolina. I feel like it's a much more maybe not intimidating, but the Cameron Crazies are okay. I feel like that's more of a cult thing, but I think that the Dean Dome, as structurally intended, it's a really nice, it's a beautiful interior. The rafters are amazing. I just think that the Dean Dome is great in Chapel Hill. I'm gonna go with the Dean Dome for mine, especially with like the LED lights, the big screens up top. I mean, it's one of the best in my opinion.
Yeah, the Dean Dome is as we saw on Saturday, a phenomenal environment. Mine's gonna be a sneaky one here. The Palestra with Penn, one of the oldest college venues out there.
Good poll.
Opened in 1927. It still has that 1927 look.
Yeah.
And Penn, every once in a while, they got one of those sneaky NCAA tournament teams, I feel like, unless I'm trying to compare them to Princeton, because I know Princeton has had their
Princeton's had a
runs.
couple. I don't think Penn's had one in a while. I could be wrong.
Yeah, it's been a while. One of those Ivy League schools always pops up in the tournament at some point in time. But this is a venue that, man, when you look at the pictures, it really hasn't changed over the better part of now nearly 100 years. They're coming up on their 100-year anniversary. That is absolutely on my bucket list. I'm always holding out hope. No, I don't know why they would. That KU would play against Penn in the Palestra.
You never know. You never know. They play some weird places sometimes.
Yeah, they do. But that absolutely, if it's not Kansas, whenever I have the money down the road, hopefully one day I can watch a game there.
Any closing thoughts for tonight? What's your level of confidence? Line is 2.5. Arizona favored. Is that kind of how you see this one panning out?
I would like to say that I'm pretty confident going into this one. It's going to be neck and neck. If I had to put money down on the game, I'd take KU as an underdog because it feels like in most scenarios they do play well as an underdog. Arizona being undefeated, Kansas 38-0 on Big Monday. They're 0-5 against AP Top 25s in Allen Fieldhouse. Man, someone's got to give, but if I was put money on it, I'll go with Kansas tonight.
Yeah, it should be a fun one tonight. Remember, tonight on the channel, pregame coverage starting at 6 even. It'll be the Kansas Nation pregame show, and then Brian Haney will take over at 6:30. Tomorrow, Pat or myself will be at CBD American Shaman Botanicals. Be sure to check us out. Then come and visit us. and we will see you tomorrow. For producer Jack Johnson, I'm Chance Lebo. Don't forget, KU Arizona tonight, tip at 8, big Monday from Allen Fieldhouse. We'll see you tomorrow for another edition of The Pulse on ESPN Wichita, 92.3 FM.
Good work, Chance.
Thanks, Jack. See you later.